driving on in to a beautiful Tuesday afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the LCO. We're in the group stage. We're saying goodbye to two teams today. We had big games yesterday, which might not have gone for as long as we wanted. Some did go for as long as we wanted, but maybe the outcome wasn't what you expected. Either way, look, it's myself. We got Kitty, we got Skimmy and Rusty, and we're all here to have a damn good time here on this fantastic Tuesday. We're sitting in the air conditioning, surviving from the crazy millions of degrees that Sydney is currently.
It's hot. It's hot. So hot. Yesterday was, what, 39? Today is still 35, and it's just scorching.
It was 36 in the car on the way here. I was just like, I cannot wait to walk inside and there be air conditioning. Either way, look, we're cool, calm, and collected. Hopefully the players are as well. They certainly were yesterday. Let's have a quick look back at all those plays once more.
Which team to attack? Shunfire once again mind controlling them with, well, if you go for this, we just summon the Heralds. Finds Praetors with the Q. Shunfire's found it. He's gone for the flash kick. Has gone to one. Oh my god, Podridge said that's what you need. They get the kill, but there's no jungler here. So what happens to the Dragon? It's going to reset. It's down to 1k. Still agonizingly close. It's still alive, but it's a double kill now for Chippies, who says, forget about the Dragon, 400 HP or not. We're much more interested in winning this team fight, and win the team fight they do.
Love doing.
Well, here it is. This is what they're possible of doing. Flanking, feigning, baiting, two-man cataclysm. Where do you run? You can't. Doesn't matter if you're a tank, a bruiser or a carry. You can't weather raise behind enemy lines, in your face. Getting a triple kill. It's a little bit too clean. Make it.
Yesterday was Monday, today's Tuesday, and tomorrow will be
Wednesday.
Oh, she nailed it! There we go.
Let's go.
Took all of yesterday and even some of today, but Kitty nailed it first shot on broadcast. That's what matters, is when it's alive. And look, we got a few teams that are looking to stay alive today in the lower bracket, but let's have a quick look at those brackets as well. Quickly recapping Group A, what's gone down up until this point. Direwolves came through with a bye, had that whole week off last week, and that didn't help them at all. PGG, bit of a warm-up match against Mammoth, and then managed to look really damn good up against Direwolves yesterday. So PGG has been that first team to qualify for playoffs. Still not sure which seed they're going into. Of course, there might be a rematch if Direwolves take down Mammoth today, but it's also Mammoth's last shot unless they pull something absolutely spectacular.
Yeah, going to need a special performance here from Mammoth. Same can be said for Group B as well, because today definitely is about the eliminations and the top dogs versus those underdogs. So Mammoth going to have to step up to the plate against the Direwolves that are going to be angry gaming, to say the least. On the other side of the bracket, Kanga, who got their 2-1 against Ground Zero in the lower bracket, pulled it back after losing the first game in that series. Now have to take on a team that 2-0'd them when they first met.
Yeah, at least they've seen, what Team Bliss was capable of last week, which was very, very solid League of Legends, and they're probably going to be bringing that in today as well. They looked pretty good yesterday in moments up against the Chiefs. Of course, taking at least one of those maps in that best of 3, but coming down up against Kanga. Maybe Kanga, the pressure that was put on them to reverse sweep up against GZ last week, maybe we're going to see a different team come out up against Team Bliss. Now that there's a new patch, maybe that's going to be favouring Fido slightly. Either way, the way that these matches are going to be played to you, of course, is 5 p.m. we got Direwolves and Mammoth. And then at 8 p.m, no earlier, of course, Team Bliss and Kanga are going to be going toe-to-toe. Still best of 3s, not best of 5s or whatever for elimination. But this could be the last time you see Direwolves, Mammoth, Team Bliss or Kanga here on the LCO, because 2 of these teams are going home today.
Yeah, 2 of these teams are going to be saying their goodbyes in this split one of LCO, but I think my eyes are onto that 8 p.m. match, Team Bliss versus Kanga Esports, as Kanga Esports is bouncing off a W up against Ground Zero, where they eliminated Ground Zero. So Team Bliss, although finding that one victory up against Chiefs, sometimes morale is a very big thing, and Kanga definitely stands a chance.
Yeah, they certainly will. Now look, heading into these games, we did see some crazy stuff going on yesterday. Skimmy, you wanted all of these ADC stats. Unfortunately for you, I didn't put them together. But you want to tell me about these ADCs anyway. What's good, what's not? What are we seeing with some crazy high presence at the moment? What's here?
Well, yeah, as an expert AD carry myself, thank you very much there, Mac. Yes, we saw a lot of Draven yesterday, right? 0 wins, but a whole bunch of priority towards it. Locked in very early in the draft, was getting punished exceptionally well as a result, right? Making it very difficult for him, even when fed, even with those adoration stacks Cash didn't actually utilize that damage, right? You were actually having times where Rusty could count the amount of auto attacks going off in a single moment, so it was pretty rough in that regard. I think Varus can fall into the same kind of category as well, and it almost feels like we're veering away from lane dominance, which was what the hallmark of champions like Draven, as well as the lethality builders, really had going for them. And sort of wanting to go back towards a team fight meta, so your champions like your Zeri, your Aphelios, and especially Xayah, given the amount of CC that is available, just gives you the freedom, the mobility to be an absolute menace, right? A couple of items come online, team fight goes your way, and you're seeing that these teams really starting to run rampant as a result. Ashe obviously in there as well. It feels like we're almost like an outlier when it comes to this, because we're still playing a ton of Ashe compared to the rest of the world. We saw it work obviously yesterday as an Imperial Mandate support Ashe, complemented by a Heimerdinger support, so certainly is still a bit of merit towards it, as well as the Caitlyn too. That's been pretty much perma-banned. So it's this weird case of lane priority versus team fight strength, which I guess we're wrestling with.
Yeah, it's in a sense, right? The season started with this need to have pushing champions, because T1 just ruined everything by playing Heimerdinger. And then it kind of just went on from there, like how do we deal with this Heimerdinger pick? But now it's gone to pushing champions. Pushing champions could be dealt with by kill lanes for sure, but the issue with those kill lanes is that so many compositions just roast them. So you hit mid-game, yeah, you are that fed Draven, but you heard it from Raze in interviews, you heard interviews from a lot of our ADCs now. Draven in some comps, you just look at your opponents and you're like, I'm doomed. Where the other team has 7 lifesteal items and you can't poke them out anymore. So the meta is shifting back to the more traditional team fighting, 2-3 item ADCs.
Yeah, and back to our point earlier, Rusty, where we've been saying Draven and Varus seems like a bait pick in LCO at least. We see Draven 4 times last night where none of them won, and none of them hard stomped in lane either, where Varus is a really interesting case where he is expected to build on hit nowadays, because you have so many tanky champions in that top side. Like, imagine a Sion, Sejuani, and Sylas in mid lane, especially with all the majors building Roa. So you're kind of forced into on hit, which really shortens the range of that ADC. And if you're up against something like the Aphelios or even the Zeri, you are just a weaker point compared
I think
to
there is also some freedom as well, right, for some potential Senna to come back. Obviously, a lot of pairings with the Senna. You can flex with the Cho'Gath, the Sion. You've also got things like Yasuo, Karthus. So many possibilities in that regard as well. And perhaps even some Ziggs. Ziggs Leonin, for instance, is obviously really, really frustrating to deal with too. Gives you phenomenal sieging potential if you can get the Herald online nice and early too. So there's actually such a wealth of possibilities. It's all just down to, the adaptability, I suppose.
I just wanted to let you guys know that you both fold your legs at the exact same time and then you unfold your legs at the exact same time, which is a good, mental...
Means we're listening.
It means you're listening to each other.
Yeah,
because
someone
you
was
sort of
listening to the other one.
Isn't that like a
copy each other.
social, psychological thing of like when you mirror or match because you're like,
Yeah, you copy body language when you're paying attention.
Yeah,
That's the one.
That's
what I was looking for.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
My words weren't there. Look, my knee is though. It's really
same
really
genes
sore.
as well. I mean, look at that.
Mine's got a hole in it.
I decided to join you, and then I was gonna hit Kitty with the. Oh wait, no, Kitty's legs are crossed too. So we all had our legs crossed, but it was just like all over the place.
What if we just take our shoes off and
Don't
like that?
Just take
You
our pants
dare.
off as well.
Behave!
While we're
Actually,
going.
no, you got some pretty funky socks on, so
Well, you
I
can't
might-
show it on the broadcast, not for free, Skimmy.
yeah, that's so true. And
Not
look,
for
while
free.
Skimmy decides whether his shoes stay on or off, it is time again. It's been a while between drinks for the LCO champion conundrum.
Is today the day luck's with you? Is it now your life could read you? Then you must play the game, cause I have to proclaim life's a game of chance.
Tell me you.
How much air is enough air in the human lungs? That's the first question of the champion conundrum today.
Oh, we have
and
different
I just got you
headsets.
the answer. What do you mean?
We can't like wear them like a crown anymore because we have a headset on.
That's right.
Kitty got it yesterday. Wait,
I was
did you
just, it
make
was
it
just
bigger?
floating on top
Yeah,
of
just
my
float.
Yeah,
head.
you just put it on top. Like,
It does
make it a bit
work
bigger.
quite well though.
Yeah,
Not
look,
rusty.
just Make
but
them all a little
rusty
bigger.
stuff.
Anyway, we're playing celebrity heads if you couldn't tell. It's going to be different yesterday. We're not doing champions. We're going to be doing items today. So we'll do the same thing. Kitty, you already went. And
bum.
I'm bad. Who wants to go first? And Kitty, you can select the item today because you were last in.
Ooh,
Oh,
yes. Let me select the items.
there you go. Actually,
Oh,
wait.
oh,
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 take a break.
It's probably going to be for me. It's going to be a savage
Is this for
item.
Rustin? Is this
After
your revenge?
Get
yesterday,
some revenge. Get
after
some revenge.
yesterday, I'm
Revenge?
just going to cop it. You good?
Have you got an idea?
It's Kitty's
I
villain
hope
arc.
so. Otherwise, the item's just going to be
Okay, yeah.
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 Give it to Rusty.
But
Right.
don't show me.
All right, we are hidden. We can't see the screens, so it's just us intimately with you guys. And that's what Rusty is. You've missed it slightly, Skimmy.
I have, you're
Yeah.
right.
There we go.
There we
nice,
go.
nice
Winner.
and solid. OH&S precautions rather.
Yeah,
making
yeah.
sure
Gotta
it's
be
there.
safe.
OH&F.
Cool,
you
so
know,
it can be
F's in
any
the chat
item,
for that.
right?
Can be any item. You've got, I don't know, 10 guesses and 3 guesses at the item.
Okay, when am I starting? Just
Now.
whenever?
3, 2, 1. Now. There's no time limit. Just go.
Am I a mythic item?
No.
Negative.
Am I less than 2,000 gold?
Yes.
Am I less than 1,000 gold?
I think so.
Am I less than 500 gold?
Yes.
Yes.
Am I a support item?
No.
Am I a starting item?
Yes.
Could be.
Could
Could be.
You can be bought at the start of the game. You're cheap enough.
That's bait. That's
Could
bait.
be.
That's bait.
It's not bait. It's true. It could be. It's flexible.
Am I a ruby crystal?
Negative. Skimmy,
No.
I need... Oh, wait. Yeah, Kitty, you go.
It's just a thumbs up, so good try.
Yep.
Just leave you there for a minute. Okay, so it's less than 500. It could be a starting item, which means it's not a starting item, but it could be. Does it have AD?
Yes.
Does it cost 350 gold?
We'll have to get a little bit of a sideline report on that. Ask
No.
another question.
No, it does not.
No? No. Okay. No, it doesn't.
Does it cost 450 gold?
No.
It does.
There's no
It does,
other
it does,
AD
no,
item?
Well,
does,
it
does.
does.
That's right.
It does.
When I spread misinformation
Is it
purposely
Doran's blade?
online.
No.
No.
Let's do it. You got one more chance. One more question, one more chance.
What costs 450 gold, gives AD, and isn't a Doran's blade? Am I dumb? Cull.
Yes.
Cull.
There you go.
The happy
You're
dance
not
like,
dumb.
eh.
And look, that is actually all we had time for because I took so long saying the
Jeez.
intro, so we don't get to do a second one.
Ah.
But if we have a big gap
Damn
between
it.
games, maybe I can slide in another little couple of these for
Okay.
you guys.
was
Either way, that is
pretty good, though.
for the Champion Conundrum, and we have a very fun from the fans today for all you guys at home. Let's have a look. We currently have the no cheating screen, so I can't remember what it is. I think it's a picture. It's all right.
hey.
It's all right. It's from the fans, so we have Rusty and Skimmy losing it yesterday when someone did something a little bit silly on the couch.
I wonder who that
So
was.
we asked you guys to caption this photo using hashtag LCO on Twitter. And also to find it, go to @LCO. I'm pretty sure it's been posted as well. And I've heard you guys have been hard at work in the Photoshop, or at least in the caption department. Let's have a look here. H has said, when you and your mates order the spicy option and think it won't be that spicy. Yep, rate that one. I'll rate that one.
Skimmy with a cardinal sin, though, if it's spicy,
Oh,
because he's
hey,
rubbing
you
his eyes.
Cannot do that.
He's
I've tried
rubbing
that.
his
That
eyes.
hurts.
He's doomed.
Yeah, you won't be able to see for bloody years.
That's a big L.
We've got a couple more to have a quick look at as well. Thank you, H for that one. Skimmy put his own one in there. Zeri didn't get drafted.
Yeah, because that was literally our
True.
reaction last night, right? We were so happy when it did get drafted, so you're a little bit sad when it's a Draven instead.
And Kitty, do you agree with this one?
I most definitely agree. I mean, you can just see from the frustration out of Skimmy's face, turning absolutely red. Just so angry that Zeri didn't get drafted for the first 2 games of Chiefs vs Team Bliss. It was unacceptable.
Unacceptable indeed. We have one more to have a look at. I follow that Skimmy and Z guy on Twitter. I heard he's a good content creator. And we got Dave O'Erlo with See Speak here. What?
Skimmy's covering his eyes, I'm covering my mouth, and I guess Tibbers is...
He's got his ears
Ears are covered by
your
my knee?
Yeah, see no evil, smell no evil, hear no
no
evil.
evil,
You're
yeah.
covering your nose.
It's true, it's true.
Yeah, oh well. Kitty, what does
It was
evil
just
smell
a
like?
stinky line on the other couch.
Well, evil smells like... Have you ever smelt...
Yes.
Do you know what
I have
an
before.
evil...
Yeah, I have once or twice. Can we all just take a second to smell? Just
Well, I
three,
still
two,
have
one.
this on.
You do.
I'm gonna keep this on.
Smells like League of Bloody Legends right in here. Let's jump on into that match discussion as you guys get more bloody from the fans ready for me. Let's talk about Direwolves first, though. They're going to be going up against Mammoth for the first game of the day. And things didn't go right for them yesterday, Rusty. So do you want to tell me what they're going to do to turn that around?
Yeah, Direwolves got 2-0'd yesterday. It was ultimately in game 1, it felt like it was winnable. In game number 2, they really did get shut out of the series. And it was pretty clean cut by their opponents in Pensinet. But Direwolves, I feel like coming to this one, have had an opportunity. It's the first time we've seen them in, what, 3 weeks? To actually get some game time against a great opponent as well. I have no doubt that they've taken a lot
4
of...
weeks.
Yeah, well, nearly, about 4 weeks. They've had a lot of learnings I'm sure they would have got from that series because it has been so long. Adapting to a new patch, maybe some champions caught them a little bit off guard. I'm expecting to see a similar brand of Direwolves to yesterday, but I would like to see the draft adapted a little bit more to how they play, not just what the meta is.
Okay, well, is this meta gonna help out Mammoth in this matchup, Kitty? Because so far in that upper bracket game, things did not go right for them, and it was probably the fastest best-of-3 series we've seen so far in the group stage.
Yeah, both of these teams are bouncing off very tough losses up against the same opponent, which was PGG, but Mammoth, of course, had to drop from the winners bracket and now into the losers. So they are going to be up for the challenge up against a Direwolves that is looking for that revenge up against the winners bracket once again. But, you know, they've only managed to scrap 1 kill during that best-of-3 in the top side, so I'm getting really worried as when mid-jungle doesn't succeed for the side of Mammoth, it just looks so tough. And the big question mark is the jungler that has been subbed in District 1 in this case. And I just want to see what his champion pool is like. It's been a very long time since we've seen this name, and especially with how the jungle meta has been so important to these drafts as well. I mean, we have seen a lot of teams just banning out strictly only junglers, so it's going to be really tough. I know that he is a bit of a Viego enthusiast, however.
Yeah, I've been told that he's Mr. Mysterious and we can't find his OPGG, so we don't actually know what he's been playing getting ready for this game. But look, subbing out for Akano, who's had a bit of a rough split so far. I feel like maybe there's a chance that things can go right.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really stressful being a person that has been subbed in during your team's elimination match. The stress on that, I can't even imagine. But definitely need to work on those communications, and hopefully bringing in a new player for this best-of-3 will fix on that.
What?
Hey,
We're all just like...
You two were sleeping over there.
I was
you were
listening.
like,
Well, I had a
those
feeling you had a
highlights,
point
I'm
to go
going to
off.
sleep. I'm going to go to
No,
sleep
I was
before the
thinking-
game. I'm going to save
can
all
tell you
my
what I was
energy
thinking.
for the broadcast.
I had a
My
feeling that you were
name's
gonna say, oh,
Rusty.
but District 1,
My
but look at
name's
him.
Skimmy.
I
I'm a
spoke
bloody
about District
Yeah,
One.
goose.
and it didn't happen, so
I'm
I
a
guess we'll
goose
just-
who's
we're just
sleeping,
lagging.
and I'm laying eggs. I'm laying eggs.
The
which are gonna
conversation
get
had
cooked
ended,
and
man.
Sent to Mac
What
by
is
menu
he
log,
saying?
so Mac can eat the goose eggs.
We'll let
and
it go.
Get a bunch of protein thanks to the goose eggs from Skimmy and Rusty. Are you two done? Can you tell me what you think's going to happen in the mid lane today?
Didn't ask.
What is production?
You guys don't get to see the cool stuff we have going on the side, but hopefully soon you will. I don't know. Do you guys remember Brattle Principal Kitty?
Brad.
Who's Brad?
Brad.
Brad Pittable Kitty?
Brad Pitbull, Kitty?
Yeah.
It's been a long time. I've been expelled from that class, so I really want to catch up with some YouTube episodes of Battle Principal Kitty, so hopefully we get to see some of that in our upcoming weeks, as we did film some extra episodes, so hopefully you guys will be keeping an eye out for it, because Battle Principal Kitty is expecting you to be on time for class.
Well, someone that's always on time is Big Z, and we've got him here for the pre-match interview. Zoranus, mate, how are you feeling? Is it, you know, high confidence in the camp after yesterday's game? And what did you guys do to try to turn things around today? Because, of course, I feel like you're probably not going to be too happy with yesterday's result.
Yeah, look, because we had a bye in the first stage, we decided it'd be better for us to play some more stage games, which is why we lost yesterday. And now we're prepared to smash some kids today and gather up the confidence for the next game.
Well, talking about smashing... Okay, I'm not going to go that way. Well, talking about, you know, going into this next best-of-3, let's talk about that Gragas pick that you guys have been so fond of in the match up against PGG. So I saw you guys blinding it quite often, but unfortunately it didn't work out for you guys at all. So what is this priority on this Gragas, and were you guys happy with the draft?
I mean, the thing with the Gragas pick is it can be flexed 4 roles, so it's really annoying to verse in terms of, like, you don't know where it's going to go. In terms of the draft, like, the draft was okay, but, like, I'd say our gameplay was the biggest issue in that series, so we're, like, not the most concerned about that. But we're gonna fix our mistakes for today and crush Mammoth.
Okay, so you're looking for a draft gap today more than just a gap in the server. You think you could turn it all back around. You've seen what the other teams are doing. You saw what Bliss and Chiefs were doing. Are you going to incorporate that sort of stuff? Or are you guys going to lean on your strengths? Because I feel like what we've seen from a lot of teams here in the LCO is when they try to play meta, it doesn't really work out. But then when they play to what they're comfortable with, everyone just seems to win. So is that the strat?
Yeah, I mean, we'll just play what we're comfortable with and we'll just win.
Well, hopefully we get to see you playing something comfortable. I know you weren't too happy about just playing a sleeper full clearing lane on the Gragas, but unfortunately that is how the meta is. But, you know, we have to talk about PGG that has continued into the last stage of Stage 2 where they are defeatless. So is this going to be a concern about how PGG has really transformed as a team as they approach the second stage?
Well, PG are probably like the team we have the least amount of intel on because they are scrimming these overseas teams. I think like all of the teams going into the next stage into actually playoffs will be pretty formidable opponents, but we've just got to refine our own gameplay and beat whoever we come up against.
And if you had a sleepover at your house and you could only invite one friend and the friend has to be from your team, who are you inviting?
That's a good question. You know, that's not what I really want to pick. I just want to sleep nice and peacefully.
Well, hopefully we get to have one volunteering as tribute as your sleep party friend. But, you know, best of luck in your match up against Mammoth. You are going against District 1 for today. A bit of a spice up, but we will be waiting on the other end for you guys.
Cool. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you,
Big
Cameron.
Z.
Oh,
Nice
Big
little
Z.
insight into what's been going on. Oh, sorry.
Cammy Whammy.
Hey, whoa.
There it is.
Cammy Whammy's back.
Cammy
Said
Whammy?
We gotta get
We should have
approval
asked
for
him
that.
if he was
Yeah, we need approval for that
all right
one.
with that.
He does not like it. Cammy Whammy. He does
Oh,
not
he doesn't like it. Well,
Yeah.
okay,
just
well.
keep saying it then. Get in
Continue
trouble
to
later.
say it, yeah.
Either way, look, any takeaways from that interview, guys?
No, he just seems nice and confident. I mean, jokes aside, from some of his answers, it seems like he's not really concerned about today's game, to be honest. Like, he is. And I think the biggest thing for me was the information that he had on Pensinet, how it is quite limited. But we also heard from them yesterday that they were scrimming the Chiefs. So maybe they aren't just scrimming Southeast Asian teams anymore. And maybe it's the reality's finally set in that more than one team qualifies to the PCS. So it might be worth all improving together.
What? You're telling me not scrimming another organization for more than 1 year is going to ruin their results in the actual competition? Mac, did you know about this?
Whoa, I had no idea, Kitty. Tell me why.
Well, it's almost like going to MSI.
Gotta.
You have 2 spots to qualify and also 2 spots to qualify for the PCS playoffs so you can work together as 2 organizations and power friendship.
Guys.
I was done. I thought
Thanks.
this went to them. We were done.
A little shaky. Are you alright, Skimmy?
Shackers.
He
He's
heard
not.
the word friendship and he's crying right now.
Just wholesome things. He remembered Why Not's interview yesterday and it brought another tear to his eye.
Give me 10 on the LCO.gg website for LCO merch.
That's not real, by the way. Or is it?
There's no merch there at the moment.
It could be. There's the Skimmy Uwu shirts, which hopefully will be on sale at bloody DreamHack again as well. You know?
We need some more merch. We need to all have our own little thing, and we can all just wear each other's shirts. Perfect.
Mac hatching out of a goose egg that was laid by Goose Rusty.
Huh?
I think people would buy that shirt.
Wait, so Rusty's your dad?
Apparently.
Wait, what is this law?
That's news to me.
And while Rusty's laying the egg on the
son.
shirt, Skimmy's there slapping Rusty's knee.
Yeah,
Yep.
my knees have to be involved in this. This
Yeah.
is unnecessary.
Because we never got
Then Battle
a
Principal
chance
Kitty shirt. Yeah.
for your knees
perfect.
to be slapped. I
Perfect.
got my knee slapped
You did?
at the LCO booth.
Yeah, I
We put it on
remember.
Twitter. Yep.
It's because you wanted it.
Oh, well.
It took so little time for us to already just become a laughing show. Like,
It's good. It's good. Now, look, Skimmy, I know you're a little bit sad. You're a little bit happy with everything. No, just don't go back into that, please.
okay.
But you're a yarn spinner.
Yes.
Tell me, if Mammoth are getting the W today in the first game, how's it going to happen?
Well, look, Mac, I think if they try and play meta, if they try and copy-paste what other teams are doing and just try to play it better, I think that's probably the wrong approach. I feel like they need to be a little bit wild and wacky. I feel like you always need to double down and say, one, you've got District 1 in. He's only really played like one game of jungle competitive in like whatever feels like, I want to say 3 years now. It's been forever.
2020 was his last game.
Right, back in
and
OCS.
One in Split 2.
Yeah,
as
so
an AD.
last time he was in the LCO was like a sub-performance as a AD carry. I think you need to really play something off-brand. So maybe like a Jarvan in the jungle to make sure that you're ganking. You're all in on the ganking capacity. Maybe in the bot lane it is something cheeky, like a Senna Seraphine, something just really off-brand to say that, look, we're going to be a bully.
Seraphine,
and then we're going to scale. Because I think if you don't do anything in the early game, you kind of just lose in the late game anyway. But if you do nothing in the late game, you kind of just lose. I don't know.
I love that theory. Now, look, I've got a fact checker here to have a quick chat to. That's District 1. Mate, talk to us. How close was Skimmy to the storyline that's going to be going down today?
I think it was quite straight to the point, but I'd like to prove him wrong. You know, obviously, you guys haven't seen me play competitively for a couple of years, but I'm pretty keen to sort of demonstrate what I can offer on the Rift, especially with the rookies on the team. So, yeah, pretty excited to definitely play today.
Well, we are all very excited to see you showcase your jungle in this best of 3 as well. And I know it probably feels very stressful to be subbed in on the elimination match for Mammoth. So how is the team feeling and how are you really settling in?
Look, I think the tension's definitely there, but you know, I try and keep a level head when it comes to moving into playoffs. I know that it was a pretty last-minute call as well, but you know, as long as you can just maintain that little level of calmness and motivate some of the guys, then I think we should have no problem sort of playing to our best ability this game.
Now, look, we're a little stumped because we can't find your op.gg. I'm not going to ask for your in-game name because that's probably secret. But what's your champ pool? Like, what do you play? Because we're stumped. We just have to wait and see, or are you going to give us a little insight?
Look, I'd probably like to play some of the Bruiser champions, so I'll probably keep it a bit of a secret in terms of what champions I play. I'll keep it up my sleeve, but I guess you guys just have to wait and see during the game itself.
Well, we have to wait and see, but what are your thoughts on Poltron because you are going against Dials for tonight? So with the jungle changes coming in for patch 13.4, it's probably looking a little bit different.
Look, I think Poltron's a very solid jungler. He plays very methodically and strategically around objectives, so I think when it comes to finding a right champion to play against him, I think it's trying to break his balance and break his rhythm, so opting in for the early game, I guess, would be my best bet.
Okay, well, it sounds like Poltron might be cruising for a bruise in District 1. Look, we'll let you go get ready for the game, and hopefully everything goes right for you on your debut for the season.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
He was very calm and collected.
He was very
and
softly
very well
spoken.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like completely the opposite of what you're getting from like Voice, who seems like he's just like...
I mean, it's important to have that balance in a team as well, right? If you've got the calm there, someone to actually keep them in the game and say, it's all good, bro. It's all good.
What side do you reckon
chill.
they're going? What side do you think Dials are picking? Is it blue? Is it red? You got a 50-50 chance, Rusty. Start things off well today.
Blue.
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 Oh,
It's always been red. It's every game
really
has been red
has.
for the past day.
it really has.
I just thought maybe first pick Gragas.
Wait, no, there were some blue picks yesterday.
Was there?
There were not a... I don't
think
think
there
so.
was.
Wasn't
I
there?
don't
Or
think
maybe
there
you
was.
guys said
Everyone's
blue. and I just-
allergic to blue
Yeah, we
side.
definitely
And
were
we just
wrong
got it
multiple
wrong.
times with saying blue. I just figured like maybe the Gragas priority would still be there, but I guess if there's multiple flexes, it doesn't really matter anyway, right?
It kind of feels like Gragas isn't doing super well in the LCO. Like everyone that plays it doesn't seem to have huge bombers, big opportunities. It feels like
Check
there's a
out the
lot
size
of...
of those bombers.
Well, technically, Mac, Gragas mid has won once. And that was from the hands of Daystar. Of course, we're going to watch Team Bliss vs Kenga very later on in tonight. But it did work because it was specifically into Tristana.
Whoa, what's that up there?
Tristana?
Dare
No, it's
fan
a Dare
vote.
fan vote.
Oh.
It's a button where you put your
Tristana.
Twitch points.
Where'd she come from?
Tristana could be up there.
Oh my
Production has an image of Tristana. Tristana could also be up in that corner. But look,
Every
get some
minute that
points
passes,
in.
it's one
Let us-
pixel larger.
Let us know what you think is going to be going down for the Dare fan vote today. In game number 1, of course, you get to do it each game, so you get your chance to win some more Twitch points or lose all your Twitch points because you're going to put them all on. Right now, I'm putting my heart on the line for my prediction. Let's see where we're going. All right, page 1.
Ah, damn. Skimmy's now ahead of me
I'm
because
19
I
and
had 2
12?
incorrect ones.
What the hell did I do wrong? Jeez. too much faith in too many teams, huh? And, oh, whoa, Max, mate.
Yeah.
Maxi, what's wrong there?
Underdog predictions, 19 to 12. No, I'll give you all an insight. So Maxi didn't put his predictions in, and I got asked to do it for him, and I helped him out.
This is a secret, by the way. Max can't know this. He
No
just
one
needs to
tell
know
Max.
that
But
his
I'm pretty
predictions
sure
are so
if
wrong
you
tomorrow.
solo predict a team, you win.
No one sent this to Max on
That's
Twitter.
what I'm
happens.
saying.
It
It
happens.
always happens every single year.
Discord.
That's
I
why
can't
Max
believe-
came back.
Max
Congratulations, Max.
unironically went for Mammoth to win 2-1. I can't believe he chose that. That's insane.
Yeah, I like that narrative. Heaps better than the one I just
Yeah.
said. Kitty, what do you think Max was thinking when he went for that one? Who does he think Mammoth is going to win through today? Is it D1? Is it Voice finally getting a big pop-off game? What's going on?
Look, with how calm and collected D1 was, maybe it will just settle out how much fighting that Mammoth likes to do in the early game, although not going the best way that they would wish for. But hopefully with the addition of District 1, it does put Dow's a little bit off-center, as you don't know what you're expecting up against this jungler. Although Poltron, on the other hand, we heard that he's very strategical, he's very calm as well. Both of these junglers are just so calm. Maybe that's just a characteristic of junglers.
He's the
Definitely
tactics
not
man.
my solo queue junglers.
Look, Kitty was saying, well, no, Skimmy was saying something about Seraphine, but Rusty, what are we going to be seeing in the bot lane? What do you think Mammoth are going to prio? Because they got blue side pick.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice for Mammoth because their one win was with Draven Nautilus, but we've just been seeing Draven lose a lot. So I do wonder which path they'll choose to go. I would just, again, would like to see the Zeri Lulu, just make it easy.
And the problem with Mammoth, right, is that you want to put interest on something that can secure CC onto the enemy team, and that just makes Sylas so much more yummy for the enemy team to pick. But you need to remember that I believe it was Dajong. He's only really seen success on the Sylas as well. So there's just so many picks that you need to acquire to have a comfortable early game, because we've already seen the success in the past. But the Ashe, like you've been saying, I mean, not as much presence anymore in the new patch as Umbral got nerfed, but I still think it's very, very pesty to say the least.
How's the vision game for Mammoth? Has it been good this split, or has it been a little bit off?
As far as I can tell, Vision is really heavily skewed by win-loss in competitive league because they will have so many wards placed, because they will have so many wards cleared by their opponents when their opponents are winning, so it's hard to directly correlate it to. I don't think there are issues in placing wards.
I have a question, Mr. Mac, or to the rest of the classroom. Do you think
Yes,
jungle
you
is
over
more
there.
important?
What's the question?
Oh, yeah, me over there. So, do you guys think mid jungle is more important or jungle support is more important as a duo?
Right now, I think it's probably mid-jungle, but that's hard to say because jungle support is all of the setup and all of the execution when it comes to team fights. So, like, if my support is a Lulu and my jungler is a carry, jungle support is really important. If my mid laner is a carry and my jungle support are both just engage tools, my mid laner is more important.
I've definitely noticed when the mids get ahead is when the game starts to get a little bit out of control for the losing team. So that trend seems to be continuing. There hasn't been too many games where we've seen those goal graphs at the end sort of go, a little bit, the Himalayas. We had a couple of games in
Quite a few.
the round robin stage, but not in groups yet, no.
I'm just curious to see if District 1 plays the same way as Akano did, right? Because it seemed to be very characteristic. That first 10 minutes, he would find a kill in the mid lane for Dajun to get ahead, and then after that was the case of camping bot, making sure that Voice would be protected at all costs. So will D1 function in the same way, or will they say time to completely rejuvenate?
And something really interesting to me is that Darius decided to choose red side once again for today, right? Last night we saw that Darius up against, I believe it was PGG. They decided to respond to the Annie blind with a Rise, and I'm gonna be real with you, I don't really enjoy the Rise as a hard counter to Annie. It's not a hard counter, it just technically goes even, it's just a short range, but you scale a lot easier into the late game. However, I would like to see Chaz really abuse that counter spot if you are putting it on the mid lane, because Chaz didn't look too great in the series last night.
Yeah, put Chaz on a big carry. Like, I know Rise can be a carry, but put him on something a little bit.
Chaz hasn't been playing
heavier.
big carries the whole split. He was playing Talia mid, right? Rise is the same thing.
Give me that Akali,
he likes
Chaz.
roaming around and impacting the map.
Well, look, we don't have to wait any longer. Let's see what Chaz is locking in, and everyone else as well. Champ Select is ready for game one of the day.
Let's do it. And let's see if Chaz locks in Vel'Koz to answer Annie.
Just
That's what we want to see.
Vel'Koz,
Just lock it in.
Annie's banned, so you don't have to think about the Vel'Koz any longer.
It's gone.
But with that, of course, the Varus, the Ashe, the Caitlyn are going to be taken away. Our AD carry staples. It seems like these three are just going to be scattered through the ban phase, and the team that bans it changes every single time.
Yep.
Either way, they're going to be taken off the board. Gragas still going to be there if we want to talk about four-way flexes. That's one of the advantages of blue side early draft. But it feels like Mammoth were watching the broadcast yesterday, and Kitty will not have to lose her mind today, and we're only one pick in.
Yeah, they heard our strife. We were quite upset about that one, so Zeri is the first pick, and the consideration is now with 2 junglers banned and the Vayner Lee Sin. Portran has literally endless opportunities to guarantee himself a really strong engage option. That seemingly is going to be the Sejuani at this point. Do you feel compelled enough to lock in your AD carry now?
But everything's up. I just realized you've got Elise and Maokai still there and available as well.
Yep.
I wonder if they've pulled a read on District 1 and said he only plays things like the Viego, you know, those bruises, so they're just not going to even really be concerned about those AP junglers.
Well, his champion pull back in OCS was all AD. You know, he had Jarvan, Trundle, Wukong, Olaf, as well as the Lee Sin too. That's why I was thinking if you were to go some early engage, Jarvan would be right there.
Yeah, I don't think you want to go for a Jarvan without seeing more of the composition.
Oh, for sure.
So it probably is either a third pick if they showed both bottom or solo carries, or it's a fourth pick in my opinion anyway. But they've shown the Sejuani. You could even do something odd like a Trundle if you wanted to, right? And in theory, that actually counters the Sejuani anyway.
Yep.
Especially when you've got the ability, and with Wukong obviously is perfectly fine, to engage right now with your Rakan already. This does also mean that Mammoth...
like Chiefs-esque, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. But it opens the gates for Direwolves to play whatever they would like, basically, in response to this. Area Rakan can be a kill lane, but it's not really. I mean, it ultimately isn't a great lane. It just is fine. But you heard this from Elodoric yesterday in the interview with the changes to Rakan with the buffs in, I think it was 13.3.
Yep.
It's a lot harder to push him out of lane, which means that Rakan is just stronger, because that's a point where some lanes he just couldn't really exist, but you hit Q now, you heal so much more. It means that Zeri also heals an equal share of that improvement amount.
Certainly, and with time, as those team fights start to become more and more important, you're still feeling incredibly strong as the Rakan. The response is going to be very much a strong one at that, with an Aphelios and a Nautilus to try and keep the bot lane of Mammoth honest. They open up their second half of the ban phase now with a Zoe Denal away. Always going to be a staple when Dajong is present, no surprises there. But what do Mammoth now feel is a necessity to deny? Do they want to now target Zoranus? They've gone for the Gnar at first. I actually don't mind this. I feel like Zoranus has shown a huge ability to carry on that champion.
Makes you wonder if they're going to pick, though, as their top laner, right? You ban away Zoranus' Gnar. Yes, he was very clean on the pick, but you also know your mid lane is about to be targeted. So the question still to me stands with what Mammoth actually choose to pick. You could ban top laners into a top lane pick. That works on red side, not as successful on the blue side. Divals will 100% get a counter, and it could just be thinning that champion pool. And Chi-Chi, as far as we know, just plays the meta top champions. Had a Mordekaiser in there, but was kind of just okay.
Yeah.
It could just be that he's about to pick a Scion and doesn't want to lose lane super hard or something of the likes. Especially with that Fiora ban, but a Jax just gets locked in for free. Gragas is one of those soft counters for the Jax, makes the lane a little bit more difficult. Body Slam wins everything. You can't jump in as the Jack if the Body Slam's ready, so viable choice.
Certainly is. If it is a case of now making sure that you have a little bit more time to ponder what Dajong's option would be. His most played champions have been removed in that second ban phase. So would he answer the call with something spicy like a Yone, or showcase that, hey, I can play the Ryze as well as the Akali too, and try and do one better than Chaz, who's obviously quite fond of them as well?
Well, the overall composition right now, it does feel like it needs more damage. Wukong, Gragas, kind of mid in terms of the damage they can put out. This can work, especially if they get resets with it, right? Because the passive even doubles down on the damage that it can deal. But Direwolves have a fairly tanky composition right now, and my only concern is that Mammoth are going to be really reliant on their ADC to be fed.
Agreed.
If they want to have successful teamfight damage, and they are putting this Zeri against a Sejuani Daughterless Jax, Aphelios with potentially any weapons, and Direwolves got the pick of the litter with mid lane champion, seeing that it is Alessandra.
Oh, good on you, Chaz, mate.
I find this dangerous, Skimmy. Now, obviously, very exciting for everyone. It is the first Aurelion Sol we've had in the LCO.
Yes.
One of the issues with Aurelion Sol is how killable you are early. and how weak you are early, because it kind of feels like a Kassadin, but without the ability to use a spell shield. You play at a range instead and run yourself low on mana. Mobility can kill you. Crowd control can kill you, especially in team fights, because they can just lock you down and you don't get to use that W utility. Mammoth Com has all of that. They have the ability to engage in a 2v2 with mid, right? Wukong with a Lissandra setup can punish you really hard.
Yeah.
And in team fights, you will get crowd control. So I just think the execution now for Direwolves actually quite high, right? The ability to play this composition out suddenly a little bit more difficult than it was.
It feels that way. It does. But I feel like it's very on brand for what the Direwolves have shown us this split already, right? Where they just want to have scaling champions to be a bit of a menace come those team fights. This must be a vote of confidence saying that, you know, the seeding difference between us is big enough that we feel comfortable to lock in that Aurelion Soul, knowing that we will get those item spikes, knowing that you are all reliant on Voice to try and carry the show. You have all this engage, but if Azeri's not ahead, what does it really matter? So it feels like a, I don't want to say ego, it's always one of those like buzzwords, right? But it does feel like a case of, you know, pound for pound when we're matched up, we should just come out on head.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to feel that way about it as well. Just a quick lobby remake as well for everyone why the game is delayed just a couple of minutes. We'll be into game as soon as possible. I do think as well with that Aurelion Soul pick, it maybe is just a case of like, we know we're better, right? Like, so we can do this, we just know we're better. It could also just be a case of he knows that he's able to execute the champion himself. We don't know how many games Chaz has with this Aurelion Soul pick, so it certainly is possible that he's very well rehearsed, versed, and practiced on the champion. And there's people out there like Nemesis who've got that, you know, rank 1 EUS solo queue with an 80% win rate on the pick because they're just a master of the new champion instantly. And people don't always know how to deal with your picks.
Well, that's the big thing for me, right, is what I always find fascinating about new champions is you can tell the teams that have scrimmed against it or those that aren't comfortable with it, right? And they are just perma-banning it or in-game look a little bit fragile against it. So quite excited to see how this one performs as we will be jumping back to the couch. Where's Mac?
What is Mac doing?
Who was I?
Tristana.
Naruto.
Yeah, I was going to say Naruto.
No, I was ASOL. I'm so excited for the big dragon to be flying around the rift. The big dragon's name is Chaz.
It's a dragon.
Is it not a dragon? I thought it was an ancestral
no, but
dragon.
that was a dragon. No, it is
well,
a dragon.
If I put my hands up like this, you'd be like, no, you're Superman. And I'd say, no. That's what Rusty
Mac
does when he's trying to be a smart aleck. He's, yeah, of course. What are you, Naruto?
That's a good guess, though.
Anyway, hey, Kitty, what do you think of the draft?
What do I think of the draft? Well, I just got back onto the couch, so it is my first time seeing all these champions being locked in, but the first thing that does come to mind is both drafts look pretty similar. I was shocked that Mammoth decided to lock in the Rakan instead of something like the Lulu, which also denies it from the enemy team, but they called your bluff and they locked in Nautilus anyways. Towards a later game, however, you do have that Jax for the side of Dials, which will become a very big factor in terms of split pushing pressure and how Mammoth doesn't have an answer to match that champion in particular. And I just think Dials, with their synergy between the Sejuani and Jax, of course, also ASOL getting locked in for the first time in the LCO, very exciting things to see. And I just think the overall team composition works pretty well, where it is very straightforward in terms of engage as well. However, on the side of Mammoth, you have something like the Lissandra and the Gragas that are double AP. So, you know, if the enemy builds, I don't know, maybe a Wit's End, then your two utility mages are out of the question. It's all up to Voice on the Zeri. And Zeri up against something like the Nautilus and Sejuani, even Jax is definitely going to be very, very stressful.
Yeah, Mammoth's got, like, I'd say arguably a better team fight on paper, but it's just the damage that looks like it's going to lack a little bit unless Chi-Chi goes absolutely ham into AP on the Grag.
It feels very much like the Daystar Yone of yesterday, right? Where you've got all these resources, all these members on your team looking to try and, you know, serve you a silver platter and say, have at it. You know, there's a target CC, there's a reset angle, there's a potential kill, but if the Zeri is behind, you aren't able to get those Lissandra resets, you aren't able to cause chaos. It becomes, very difficult, right? Because you're getting all these resets, all these spell cycle cooldowns from Direwolves, which mechanically should be able to outplay.
I also want to highlight the top lane matchup where we saw Zoran is only on the Gragas side for this in particular, but this time around he is on the Jax, where it really requires the Gragas to have good early game laning phase where he has to bully the Jax out of CSing, or we've already seen in these team fights in particular where the Jax just comes back from landing a 3-man E and then that's just, you he's unstoppable from that point on. So it really depends on how Chi-Chi is going to execute on this Gragas, because you're paired alongside something like the Wukong and Lissandra, very volatile in terms of mobility, and he is able to look for a lot of these 5v5 skirmishes in the mid to early game.
Do we know if District 1 plays Lee Sin? Because it looks like that was target ban second phase.
He's played it in the OCS, but like that's the sample size we're going off, right?
Yeah,
it's like what you played 3 years ago.
He's a jungler. The answer is yes.
He's a bruisey.
He's
but
a
it was all
jungler. Everyone
AD,
plays Lee
which I
Sin,
think is
man.
the reason why we didn't see the Elisa Maokai, because like you probably don't play it, or you probably don't want to go for it.
Okay. And
ruins the stats though.
on the other side of things, we've got a couple of AD bans coming through. That Ashe.
Yep.
Annie out of there as well. So
The letter A has been removed.
What do you mean, ASOL's right there?
There is an ASOL in this game.
Yeah. I mean, what are your thoughts on ASOL? We haven't seen too
Can't
much
unhear
of
it,
it
can
in
ya?
competitive. Stop laughing, Skimmy.
I think
The
ASOL
audience
I really
doesn't
like that
know.
player from Team Liquor. What's his name?
Harry.
Hayri.
We love you, Harry.
Hayri.
He played a pretty good dragon, didn't he?
What are your thoughts on Hayri's ASOL?
I haven't got to know him too well, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't, man.
immaculate.
I can't see
His
this champion
ASOL is
anymore.
very good
Yeah.
in game.
Yeah, no, like I said, Aurelion Sol, I think, is actually turbo broken. But in the way that a Kayle is broken when she hits 16, you're just like, it's doomed now. Like, there's that point where every 75 Stardust, you're like, this is just going to hurt. But
I want to see the shockwave. Boom.
it's more the increase in the Q range when he's just skating around and gets a reset. There is no other mage in this game, from the top of my head, that can reposition as a control mage in team fights like 4 times. And Aurelion Sol can everywhere after 1 kill.
I just noticed,
It's broken.
is Chi-Chi not a Fiora player? I thought Chi-Chi was a Fiora player.
He's played it.
Why did Mammoth ban Fiora? Do they rate Zoranus's B?
It's probably to pick a tank themselves. They banned 2 carry champions that are good in the tanks to pick one.
Right.
So, like yesterday, you saw, I think it was Chippy's on the dealing with the Gragas.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
well. A big CS lead, tower
Yep.
plates and everything, so they ban away.
I'm very confused by Mammoth. Why wouldn't they pick Sion here? I feel like Sion is a decent champion in this draft where it was available, and of course you could pick it for the side of Mammoth, but they decided to opt into Gragas. I mean, yes, there is the potential of being flexed, but you need to think about it with the overall team composition and what Dials can answer with, and this time around it is the Jax, and in my honest opinion, although Gragas is a counter pick to Jax, after 3 items, you're bombed.
You're bombed.
I love how you like start being like, yeah, I'm going to talk in proper English. In my honest opinion, bombed.
In my honest opinion,
Bombed.
skibbity bop bop, yes, yes.
Heck W ain't no way next fast, is what she's saying.
Huh?
3 items.
Can you break that down for the normies like myself?
No,
Why not?
because we're saying it to Twitch chat.
Oh, guess what, guys? Game is ready to go. We're jumping on into the Rift, and we get to see who wins Game 1 in, let's say, I'm going to say 25 minutes. I'll see you back here then. Yep, it's a date. Yep.
24:30.
Yeah.
24:30. Actually, probably it might be a bit longer given that it's an ASOL Jax comp. They're looking at probably like if Direwolves were to win, it'd be 30, 35 minute style game. If Mammoth were to win,
Yeah.
it could be a little bit faster.
But I think it's an interesting consideration when you talk about these 2 different team comps, because there are a lot of similarities within it, right? You've got 2 mid laners where they both are hunting for resets, 2 hyper carry AD carries in that regard, looking to try and be an absolute menace, 2 big engage options in the jungle, and certainly to be found in the top lane as well. So let's see what happens here to kickstart another best of 3. It's elimination time for another one of these teams. Mammoth having weathered the storm in a rather humiliating 0-2 fashion up against PGG, for only Direwolves to find themselves in a similar boat against them as well. Let's see how evenly matched they are once they go up against one another.
And Trust looking for, well, I guess is kind of standard cheese for Rakan. Level 1, Rakan can go anywhere, can do anything. You can jump over those walls with Ws, find engages. That's the Aladoric special. This time around, he is just going to recall and place a ward. Perhaps seeing if Poltron goes from red to top lane or red Raptors top lane in any kind of order. The points for me, the key points for me that separate both of these teams, even if we want to call their draft similar, is that Sejuani Jax can be a really high carry 2v2. It's a Gragas and a Wukong that does decent as a combo, but it's not really a lane that you're going out of your way to gank for. it's an opportunistic gank lane.
Yep.
It's more mid lane, right, where you're going to be seeing a Lissandra and a Wukong you would expect to be working together, where Direwolves, I think it's just quite simply get through the lane, you know? You'll be fine. Anytime that a Lissandra and an Aurelion solo farming evenly or equally, you are happy as the Wolf camp. And it is also a teleport for your mid laner. No cleanse to get out of the stun combo of a Lissandra to lock you down. You are liable to death if they get that combo off.
Who has actually picked up the Electrocute instead of the Unsealed Spellbook, which we've seen from a lot of Lissandra players, right? So certainly a suggestion here that they want to be a lot more aggressive. We'll need that damage, really hunting for those initial kills.
The other thing as well is bot lane, like you're seeing, can nullify a Zeri pretty well. You've got a decent amount of range and sustain and utility to get through the Zeri lane early. It's not the strongest 2v2. So if you want to, you can be more aggressive, you can push, you can force it. You throw those hooks that Decoy was taunting at just to try and force the lane state. Mid as well is kind of a pushing lane. The Aurelion Sol, if he wants to, just spams those abilities, but has gone for the tier. Is playing again a little bit more passively, doesn't have the Dematerializer as he's gone for Resolve in his secondary tree.
Yep.
So isn't prioritizing pushing that wave. One of the standard strats as well is going Dematerializer with a cannon. Is instead looking to be more survivable.
Fairly easy for Dajong to walk it out of that one. No real need to burn a flash or an E at this stage here. Just early warning signs as Poltron will cross the map. That'll give good information also for District 1, who's just clearing from buff to buff. Had a ward on his blue.
The wave a little bit rough up here, isn't it, for Zoranus, if you can't crash this one in, but seems like he'll be perfectly fine. Some damage off Proc's Grasp. Proc as well. It's not going to be a lethal tempo or anything like that, or a Conqueror for the Jax. It is just a laning, sustain rune in a sense. Against the Comet of Chi-Chi as well, he was going that AP Gragas build. Poltron crossing mid was realistically just to get towards his bot side camps. It is going to be both junglers farming from top to bottom. Significantly faster from District 1 to say the least, but that's with reason. He was just 6th camp clearing. Nothing really to scoff at or be impressed by so far.
Yeah, farming up a tree. Vision going to be cleared out. Feigning there is Decoy, but he turns around with a hook. District 1 snuck himself into the lane. You can see Poltron not too far behind. Currently on the Gromp, but in the area. No need to really force a fight right now, as we do continue to see skirmishing topside. The counter-strike actually does land despite the body slam going out. And this is a flash for Flash! That means first blood goes the way of Zoranus. Now back to the bottom lane we go. Great flash again. Now from Decoy, turns it around with a hook one more time. There's Poltron, flash buffer, and we are just expending summoners like you would not believe. Meanwhile, Predator from the backline with the blue weapon is just spitting hot fire, and he'll take at least one down with him. There's the Graviton, and there's a delayed flash that denies the double.
And then Trust just barely scrapes away with his life intact. Poltron out of mana, so it'd have to be Decoy if he goes for anything here. And the Hex Flash, just a little bit of a bait. Eyes on the Nautilus and see what he does.
Looking for a Decoy, going to sacrifice his life for this one, but can Praetor find a kill? He's got the turret dagger, he's taken 2. One more ultra, he can't find it! That is criminal! And it must feel so tilting, but oh so good for Mammoth.
They quite simply, at a high pace, run it down. Zoranus.
Well, he's just going from top to mid, wanting to be the absolute MVP of this series before it's even started. 5 minutes in, we are tanking turrets and just dying.
Direwolves almost had 3 members back-to-back die to a turret. We're no right doing what they were doing. Mammoth will just punish that one. They're 1,000 gold up right now. Chi-Chi's going to crash a wave. Zoranus does get a solo kill. Top lane, we'll watch this one more time because in bot lane, Decoy does face check, has to flash. He's going to go for the hook afterwards because he has Poltron nearby. And like you were highlighting, summoner spells just get traded left, right, and center. And Trust has that E2 to get himself out to safety. Poltron didn't get that 4th auto attack off. I think he actually cancelled one auto there and ends up falling for it. And then Direwolves, 0 mana on Praetor, purple and blue weapons, so not the highest DPS combo. And a wave that they could just deny from Mammoth. Instead, will walk up, take damage in the process, auto attack, cause the turret to murder them, and they'll just hold the L.
Tell you what, that was a spectacle to behold. That is one way to open up your series here.
Yeah. And quite simply, as I was saying, right, they just let the wave crash. They just defend the minion wave. They don't need to go for the dive, and that's still a win. for Direwolves, because that is 12 contested minions, a sizable CS advantage, and a blue weapon for the next wave anyway. Like, they were in a fine position. They just tried a little bit too hard, it feels like, to go for that play that very clearly backfired.
Yeah, you can see Credit was very close to splashing the damage off the minion to get the kill onto Entrust, but a little bit of over-eagerness, I suppose, to try and showcase that this Zeri will be put behind. Ultimately, have spoon-fed it a few early kills and a bit of extra gold to start off this series as the very first dragon is being looked at right now. Contest is seemingly fairly unlikely. Mammoth will instead just put their attention towards crashing this in the spot wave.
Really nicely done by Direwolves. Red-white weapons, very quick at taking those objectives and just straight up in melee range. It takes no time at all. Almost without their jungler nearby, but we speak about that jungler has got the wraparound. No flash for the Zeri. Does mean a spot of bother for Mammoth if they get a little bit too close or a hook going. That is a level 6 Zeri though, to say the least. Can do some significant damage and has a cleanse.
Yeah.
And now they know something's up, so the opportunity goes awry. And it seems like Direwolves just don't want to take that one skimmy. They're going to reset anyway.
Yeah, the timing would have been a bit wacky given how close the likes of both Poltron and Decoy are to hitting level 6. Need another wave under their belt, and then suddenly things are looking really, really good. And for Zoranus, things could be looking really, really bad. He knows he's in a situation, a spot of bother. So how does he try and fight his way out of this situation? 1v3 underneath the turret says, I'll just kill Chi-Chi. Die to the turret, deny you of the assist, and waste all of your time.
Yeah, 3 members from Mammoth are in the top lane, but unfortunately for them, their ankles are broken by Zoranus doing the best decision that he could possibly make in that moment, and that was go for the 1-for-1, deny assist, deny any kind of involvement, instead waste the time of Mammoth as they spent all that effort walking up there. It means that the rest of Direwolves can clear their waves, clear their camps, and go back with a bit of extra money in their pockets and a free recall.
Tell you what, maybe feeling a little bit angered after being forced to play Gragas twice last night. Wants to showcase what this matchup can look like on the other end. The Jack's ahead, even if meant to be nerfed on this patch to be weaker in laning phase. He's going to be an absolute menace come those team fights. We've seen what Zoranus can do in this Jack's right. Rocks up to a team fight, landing consistently 3-4-man stuns. See if the game continues at that pace. There's Chaz going to jump it in there with the Astral Fly.
Poltron doesn't move a muscle. Presume that he was spotted given the control ward's right next to him. Above him in the river, you could see that the hover from the monkey was there. And Trust ready to protect as well if it comes to it. And you see how far forward Dajung presses there. Seeing if he can bait them out. Poltron perhaps sniffing that something was a little bit up, still doesn't know that he's on a ward till now. So they're just going to clear that one out. Zeri has some time to move here as well, Skimmy, with Rift Herald on the cards. 9 minutes 30, does get hit by the side of Direwolves, but they might have more members here on the side of Mammoth if they choose to contest this one, and a good opportunity for them to try and make that play. Direwolves will see that, though.
Certainly will. Not going to waste their time to answer back, and that's going to be a very strong contingent of Mammoth all grouped up and ready to go for this Herald. The response from Direwolves, I'd imagine, would be to let this one go to continue to farm up, because right now you've got a Praetor in the bot lane stabilizing what was a bit of a precarious situation for him. There's 2 turret plates and a massive wave being denied. Solo experience acquired. Aurelian Sol in the mid lane also doing much the same, right? Wants to use that singularity on Cordan to farm up as much Stardust as possible. Not too interested in fighting just yet.
Decoy going to be sitting in the bush next to the turret as well to see if they can find an unsuspecting victim. Note that Poltron, as you can see, is also in the area. But they're not going to make the play. Again, just happy with those turret plates. That's a whole lot of money into the pockets of Praetor. And Chi-Chi just holding on in top lane. If the game plan revolves around having a big ADC, and they spend that time moving their ADC up to Rift Herald to guarantee the Herald, then you want to hope that that goes where Voice is. You want to hope that that play involves going where Voice is. And the odd thing as well...
Cheeky little hook. Actually, it's more. It's an all-in. Fantastic Frozen Tomb. They're completely denying 2 ultimates to Gravitum afterwards. There is the root, but a flash away afterwards. But they still had the damage. It's Poltron in the dream right now, flailing with the stun. A shield that comes on through from the Rakan is phenomenal. And the kill cannot be found. This Rakan is so close to death so many times.
Yeah, they just put all of their efforts here on Mammoth to keeping their mid laner alive. Dajung survives, has the teleport as well, so this wave could be held. And instead, Voice is going to make his way down here, which means that the teleport will probably just go towards mid if used at all. Drake is going to be up in 20 seconds here also. And so you're expecting to see hard clears on these minion waves and setting up for the objective. Recalls, if they're going to happen, should come in soon. Mammoth seem like they want to fight, Skimmy. They do seem like they want to contest these objectives. Direwolves playing in a way that it feels similar to them from yesterday, just calm and collected, except for the occasional dive. It wasn't.
Anything but, for sure. Saw before, I was saying pretty much is your bread and butter combo there for the Aurelion Soul, right? Just to do as much damage as you can and let your E ability then execute for those Stardust stacks. As you rightly mentioned, the Herald will be utilized bot lane to make sure that Voice gets all that turret plate gold. But Poltron is still toying with the idea of, do we go for a kill? And that is Decoy flashing in to start things up. A two-man retaliation, and Voice gets that kill. Falling Star across the wall to try and take out Daljing, who's life leeching as much as he can inside that frozen tomb. But eventually will get taken down 1v1, and the rotate down to bot lane. Zoranus is here. Chi-Chi is not. He's got the TP, but deciding not to use it. As Chaz is hunting for those resets, and resets he might find. Voice with a cleanse to get out of that hook, but unable to get the kill onto Decoy. Now the TP comes on through, but is it too little too late? I think it might be. The laser beam has found a double kill.
Just the breath of light straight onto them, and they'll find the easy double kill here for the Aurelion Soul, and that's after the solo kill onto the mid laner of Mammoth. That is now a 3-0 Aurelion Soul to deal with. Mammoth not going to be happy about that one. You see the skirmish, the way that it initially kicks off, and it looks good because they get an immediate pick here for Mammoth. But straight after, all momentum was halted. All of their tempo was lost. Their mid laner dies in this 1v1. It seems like it just shouldn't have happened, but we'll have to see how that does break out. Quite simply, just gets face checked. Walks within breath of an Aurelion Soul. Chaz finds his opportunity, dashes over, and there was no way out for him. The rest of this fight, Zeri immediately kills Poltron. Things look good, but Praetor, red-white weapons. District 1 gets traded almost instantly in response, and they're never going to die. And the reinforcements were walking down this entire time, Skimmy. Voice tries his best, has the cleanse still after this, but flashes out of the stun instead. And now they're stuck. Chaz also probably could have just went there anyway, if he really wanted to, but he'll wait for the hook. Buy their time, wait for their cooldowns. And 2 easy kills.
A little bit disgusting. The amount of stacks he has there, your laser breath is just lasting infinitely, just staring you down and taking you down. And well, a situation you would say that is an even state at 14 minutes, but Direwolves will be feeling pretty content with the amount of plates they found and the amount of objective strength through these double drakes. Predif in that 1v2 will take one down with him, make it 2 with a helping hand from the turret.
Okay.
He's not going to mind that one, that's for sure, as Poltron meets District 1 and says you can't use that Cyclone 2 because down comes the Shockwave and Chaz is on 4.
Yeah, the skies do descend onto District 1 there, and it feels like a little bit of overkill given how much of a pickle he was in. Just going to go back towards mid lane, and now that 4-0 Aurelion Soul sitting extremely pretty. Praetor, most importantly in this situation, gets a 1-for-2 trade. Purple weapon under the turret means very difficult to actually execute on that play, but Praetor plays this out quite nicely, hitting the ultimate onto Voice, maximizing the damage that he can deal to the ADC of the Mammoth squad. And it does just flash away to create space and distance. Fight ensues. Chaz says, I've never seen a more dead jungler in my life. The aftershock will be felt through the ancestors of District 1 after that one.
Just dropped a nuke on him, honestly.
Genuinely.
25 kill streak, he's just making it look a little bit too easy. But a situation now where you're thinking Direwolves are in paradise. 8 kills between their 2 carries, scaling menaces, and a total gold graph, which is going to showcase that it is really the Voice dream, which is much to be expected, much what you'd really hope for, right, from the side of Mammoth.
X-Flash, Nautilus ult.
2-man ultimate, 2 men getting knocked up as a result, but Entrust can just dash away to safety. Beauty of the Rakan pick.
Still dicey, lots of damage goes down. It means that Entrust doesn't really get to exist on the map right now. Is struggling to find any kind of relevance with the pressure that Direwolves are putting down. And you highlighted their scaling, and they're definitely going to be tough to deal with. That's true. They were already winning from the moment Jax got 2 solo kills in top lane. That's a clear win condition for them, is having Jax in a side lane at any point. Now they've got a 4-0 Aurelion Soul. Now they've got a 4-2 Aphelios. Well, they're just strong everywhere.
Yeah.
And if Mammoth's response is that they have to team fight, it's pretty tough to be a Zeri against Direwolves comp.
Yeah, And they're even more reliant on Voice now because you've got double Everfrost from your AP threats, right? So it's all utility. It is Voice against the world. That is a Stolen Herald. That is an ultimate, a two-man knock-up, a fight on two different fronts so far. It's a shutdown, most importantly, onto Predator. So removed from the fight, a second found. District 1 impressing so far as you'll look to lock down Decoy, and Chi-Chi will pick up the rewards there. As Chaz will run away. Should be a little bit too hard to chase on down.
Yeah, Chaz is going to survive, but that is still a successful fight for the comp of Mammoth here. They had numbers in the area first and a little bit of an execution whiff from a couple of Direwolves members there, and that's it. They get caught inside the pit, the Sejuani ult misses, the Nautilus hooks disconnect. Mammoth find the opportunity, they see blood in the water, and they actually almost equalize the kill gold and find themselves up about 1,500. And watch this again. Poltron quite simply misses the ultimate onto 3 targets here. It just goes wide. Decoy's going to Hex Flash into the wall, miss his hook here. And then the Aurelion Soul and the Aphelios, the combo completely caught. Rakan Lissandra just going to find both carries. Voice gets to freely hit the entire time. And the fight was over the second that started.
This really is your best case scenario to get the Herald stolen away. To get that ability then to utilize those kills to siege down another turret, to get that extra injection of gold, but to get those resets, to line up those targets and give so much space to Voice to play around with this Zeri. The target selection certainly was phenomenal, removing the Aphelios nice and early. So mid-tier 1 gone, and another Dragon to play for now, the third of this game. Direwolves having found the first 2. Have to fight their way for control to get back inside the river.
I think so far so good from District 1. The things we've seen of him, he seems to be quite aware of team fights. You know, like, hasn't had an opportunity to be a hero, he doesn't need to be. He's just doing his job when those fights break out. The 0-3 Poltron on the other side here, definitely struggling on the Sejuani in this game. Hasn't been hitting those ultimates, hasn't been finding those angles. But does have really strong lanes to play towards, so it shouldn't matter too much, just gets to build full tanky and be utility. But still, the exciting news is 18 minutes in. Mammoth are ahead.
It's a promising sign for them, isn't it? And I think it would be, you know, one of the teams that would afford them that kind of luxury to coast into the post 15-minute mark.
Yeah, yep. If ever there was a team to fall behind in 15 minutes in our top 4, it's Direwolves, who average behind at 15.
That's it. So this becomes a bit of an interesting context as to how does it actually look now from this standpoint, if it is all about the team fighting with very much team fight built comps.
This is also the point where when you're a team, and like say you're an LCO squad going internationally, you get to play against an LCK team, what an honor. And you do so well in the early game, right? You're feeling real chuffed about yourself. You're like, oh, I've solo killed this LCK player. Hit 15 minutes and they macro your pants off. Like you just lost, you just fall over. That happens a lot, and that is scalable even into matches like the LCO, and it becomes harder and harder for teams like Mammoth, who haven't found much success in the LCO, against the squad like Direwolves, who have found all their success from 15 minutes into 30 minutes, finding picks into team fights. This is where you can't make a mistake. This is where you have to consolidate the lead into an actual victory, or you just fall victim to the calm of the Direwolves squad.
Certainly can't get too chuffed with your performance just yet. There is still more to be done. 20 minutes in, down comes the laser one more time, and Chesney is now on a double kill. He's got the Rylai's. So how do you escape this Aurelion Soul just farming you up? Sitting on a triple. We talk about it being the Zeri show, but right now it's the Quadra show.
They want to give him the fifth.
Give this man the pentakill on the debut. Make it happen. Come on, Chaz.
There is no pentas in the LCO, and once again,
I can't believe it.
A quadra for Decoy and Chaz. Oh, sorry, a quadra for Chaz and Decoy takes away the 5th. Nautilus finds the hook. I'm not sure Chaz was getting that, to be fair. He flashed.
Shook. He flashed
just out of range, though. He was just out of range. Direwolves find the team fight that they're after. And quite simply, I don't think a Rakan and a Wukong are the damage required to win. They've got a Zeri on the way. And by the time they pick this fight, just look at who they're hitting first and foremost, right? It is Poltron, it is Decoy, it is tanks, and just waiting in the wings was the Sky's Descent from an Aurelion Soul. And the Fed carry here of Praetors. If you're looking for those engages, it has to be on a carry. It can't be on these tanky auxiliary members. And just as I was saying earlier in the day, the fact that Aurelion Soul can reposition like this is just so overpowered once those fights actually break out.
Oh.
And you know Chaz wasn't getting that. Full credit to Decoy. Don't ever regret it, King. That was your kill.
And still the Pentakill eludes us. Ever so close once again. But that certainly is a demonstration of just how strong this champion can be. Now 8-0-1 with a 1k shutdown to be claimed. Let's then check in with the total gold, and still it is Voice on top, and by a significant margin compared to any of his teammates. Still to be expected. Still promising signs.
Yeah, Voice really strong. Doesn't have any kind of pen items just yet. Another hook's going to go out onto Entrust, who's going to be perfectly fine because he's a Rakan. Voice looking for that third item. It seems like it's going to be the Navori Quick Blade, so trying to get some really good team fight DPS out. But once that armor starts coming across, if it does, from Direwolves, it's just a little bit harder to take him down. So far, though, 0 armor purchased. Can absolutely 1v9 a team fight if he finds his angle.
Certainly can. Now goes the Glacial Prison. Doesn't hit anything. Doesn't matter, though, because Chaz removes Entrust from this fight nice and quickly. Dajong's gone in on his own. And it's just single file simulator at this point here. There is another double kill found. Zornis is TP'd into the fray and just isolating out District 1. You can't flash away. Are we going to try and run it back again? It is the triple. It's in the mid lane, but now Praedyth.
He's got it
He
all.
wants the spoils of war as well. Looking for the Quadra. There it is. We're teeing it up. Come on. We can't butcher it twice.
Where's Decoy?
We cannot butcher this twice. Surely now. Voice up against Chaz. Reposition. Where's this laser beam going?
I told no pentas in the LCO. There's no pentas allowed.
100 HP in a dream.
Voice just breaks his ankles. It's not going to happen.
No free pentakills, especially not 2 in one game.
And a lot of money given to Voice in that situation, so they'll still be pretty chuffed with that one. But when all is said and done, the Aurelion Soul's first death of the game, he is still 12-1 running around in this mid lane. And if you think back to why that fight started, Skimmy, I'm still trying to work out why. The setup, not really there. The way that they played it out just made no sense to me, and they kind of just opened the door. Just like we were talking about before, right? They just give opportunities. And step number 1 of this situation is don't be where Entrust is. You're playing for the mid wave. If you're playing for the mid wave, you don't face check the bush first, right? And now they just bottleneck themselves, and they've just said in for a penny, in for a pound, and well, suffice to say that's the outcome. They write the ending to their own story by making a mistake at the start.
Yeah, TPing in like that after Entrust is already dead, pretty rough, and just doesn't really give you a platform for Voice to try and showcase how strong he is, right? Forced to cut away and play spoils to killing sprees, really.
Voice just gets a little bit ice skater here, right? Dodges out on the Q, dodges out on the Q.
Oh, so close.
Super close. The Q passive was proccing onto him. 1 tick off, but Voice knows he's taking that fight. You earn that pentakill, is what Voice was saying. Chaz did not earn it today, but he did earn level 16, a big ultimate to come down in the Baron Pit.
Certainly has the biggest ultimate right now at max level, ready to rock and roll. The Baron will reset. Voice on the side right now, being dived upon there by Zoranis, and he can't find that kill. He's still living though, finds the stun, but Zoranis does eventually fall on down. Ooh. There is the Moonlight Vigil, there is the splash damage, and there is Mammoth running for the hills, but there's just so much mobility. And now Poltron's in the action with a triple of his own for the ace.
And a huge ultimate from Praedyth, right? They give the triple to Poltron, yes, but Praedyth comes up huge with an ult. Nice little combo there from the side of Direwolves. And Zoranis, the only casualty of war in that little skirmish, now 13 to 24 in the kills. And the 4,000 gold lead feels like 10,000. They'll take themselves a Baron buff as the spoils of war in the driver's seat to win this one now. And I mean, suffice to say, Skibby, this replay just kind of writes itself. Mammoth are going to hit the Baron. I think they recognize the game state. It's pretty difficult to do. They'll look for their angle. They'll look for their opportunity, but Dajong goes in, has no reinforcements. Chi-Chi tries to go in, but by the time he goes in, his mid lane is dead. By the time his mid lane is dead, he's 1 HP as well. And bang. Ooh. Huge damage from Praedyth. Lovely team fight from the side of Direwolves as they just skirt around the edges perfectly.
And do you see that as the correct approach there from Mammoth as to how they want to try and fight that fight? Because for me, it's all about making sure to protect the President. Jump on Voice, every ultimate, every kind of disengage tool, explosive cast, frozen tomb, whatever it may be. As long as he's living, you've got a chance at living in this match.
Well, speaking of, it just gets immediately half health by a Chaz. I mean, yes, in in principle, you want to protect your ADC, the only person who has gold in this game, right, so that he can do damage when a team fight happens, is just chasing Poltron.
Yeah, Poltron's just
Might be able to get
showcasing, hey, look, I'm in your jungle.
What's Chi-Chi doing?
And now we're just taking turns right now
Big
as
ult.
to what we can do. Out goes the damage once again. Shockwave damage afterwards certainly can be felt. Praetor with the damage one more time. I've baited myself there. There you go.
Finds him.
It eventually gets him.
Green weapon was there. Was able to get the auto attack, finds lethal damage. And Dials will lose their jungler, but they still have momentum and they'll take 2 away from Mammoth. Looks like inhibitors are going to be broken here as well for sure. And wherever there is a Praetor, there is a team fight victory waiting for them. He is doing so much damage right now. Definitely awake today.
Oh, he certainly is
He's
awake.
awake today.
Get far too excited about that blue weapon, but even with the green, still able to snipe you down very easily. 2 inhibitors now claimed as a result. Making sure that Mammoth are well and truly locked inside their base. Maybe a bit of a calm phase now as the next 3.5 minutes will see us waiting for those major objectives to respawn at a fairly synced up time.
Is that a death cap done though for Chaz? Because if that is, and it certainly is, there's no hope. There is no hope anymore. Teleport going to come through looking for that 3rd inhibitor. A miracle required. The miracle has to be in the form of voice somehow.
Oh, Chi-Chi's just getting beamed. Absolutely locked in place, as is that. Oh, I mean, Entros is gone. Didn't even get a chance to press a button. And Chaz was right up in your business, keeping you honest, saying this is what red side counterpick can look like. A debut on a brand new champion reworked and looking like an absolute menace. Piloted to perfection, but not for finding a pentakill, but he won't mind ultimately because with this sort of situation, they are primed and ready to go to end this game. But is there still more left in the tank here for Mammoth? They've chucked everything at it for this final play. Dival's still living. Look how low Decoy and Praetor are. They turn around with the ultimate. They are still surviving, tagging in each other, ooh, bleeding, burning, but frantically living. And Praetor's life leeching like an absolute weapon. Chase is going to fall on down. How's that?
They're good. How about you?
Well, that's something.
That's just 2 of his deaths have been under turrets. Another hook goes through, but at the end of the day, look at Praetor. He's a bit too powerful. Still threatening the next, they're still threatening the end right now.
Yeah, they certainly are. It felt like a foregone conclusion. Just having a little bit of fun with it. Oh, Dajong will be denied a cheeky little play there. There comes the ace. There comes the victory. And sub 30 minutes, Direwolves back to winning ways.
And Mammoth still, signs of life, still some fight in the system here, still putting up a pretty good showing in game number 1 against the Direwolves squad, but it is also one of those situations where we can compliment Mammoth and how, depending on their opponents, they could look good on the day, depending on the draft, they could look good in the game. Direwolves were still diving, still absolutely testing every possible limit, to the point where eventually they were like, all right, guys, let's just get a big enough lead, and then tried to get pentas for Chaz off cooldown.
Look, I think that game really had a little bit of everything from the side of Direwolves. We were dying to turrets in the first 5 minutes. We were showcasing that you aren't going to have the most fun with the Zeri 1v9. You can have your blue side first pick, but we're not going to be phased. Yeah, 2 pentas stolen, or 2 pentas denied, I should say more. Yeah, a game that had everything. Can't ask for much more.
What's better? A dragon that can fly all the way across the rift and blow bloody flames everywhere, create a shockwave that does huge damage and then also right-click at any given point, or one hooky boy?
I think I would rather choose the dragon that blows flames everywhere and destroys the entire world and is the creator of the universe, Mac.
And everything is under the one umbrella. The umbrella saved the world from rain, and that was ASOL. That was Chaz holding the umbrella today, it seemed, of course. The storms are coming, and it's called Mammoth, unfortunately. Look, they got a nice little lead at the start of the game, but as soon as Chaz started to turn up to those team fights, that was when things just went wrong for Mammoth. There were a few times as well where, look, Zoranus was just trying to Giga Chad his way to a top gap, but kept on dying. And either way, it was just an interesting affair. I feel like we got a lot from Mammoth, though, and in the end, it was a very, very high kill game. I think it was 46, maybe towards 50 after those couple of kills towards the end as well.
I'm going to be honest, I think this is probably one of the better games that we've seen from Mammoth in the early game. There were winning fights for them until this ASOL just became out of control after he picked up his second item, but my point goes back to that top lane where the Gragas has been picked into Jax, and we saw, I mean, I was saying before we went into game that this Gragas would have really high execution against the Jax, where you want to be ideally putting the Jax behind in terms of CS, but if you are going in for those bad trades, I mean, up against someone with the grasp, you are going to just lose straight up, and Lornas became a monster in these team fights. I mean, paired alongside Chaz, you also have a Prated on his Aphelios in these team fights. It's just impossible. I mean, even Prated, although he goofed out in that bottom tower dive, he also made the enemy team goof out in this top lane dive, and he was able to 1v2 them.
Yeah, that was a nice little talking point as well. The fact that Voice gets to go back to a Zeri, of course, one of the original Zeri players once Zeri was released. Was it last year or the year before? Feels like it's been a while now.
Last year?
I want to say last
Yeah,
year.
last year. And then Aphelios, of course, getting picked up by Praetor. So both ADs getting something they're very comfortable on. And that's definitely reflected in terms of the damage output. You could see Voice, there was points where there was like 2v4s down bot lane, and he was still pumping damage, sometimes not getting those kills. But we also got to see ASOL on display. And the range from that bloody laser beam coming out his mouth as well. Man was standing outside of the turret range. People were sitting under the turret and he was still hitting them. And there's nothing that they could do. There was literally nothing they could do.
The only thing that they had in their pockets was Voice on the Zeri, and even Zeri wasn't able to outrange a champion like Aphelios and the ASOL in this instance, and that goes back to draft. I mean, we already set up Mammoth being the one-man show for Voice. It was all up to him, but when you're up against something like the Jax, the Sejuani, even ASOL that consistently slows you, how are you going to outrun them, little Zeri? Jerry?
Not. You had to correct yourself to be wrong.
Jerry?
It's
Tom?
the official way of saying it is actually Jerry. So
What do you mean?
I'm gonna need receipts. I would like to see where that.
Oh, I've got a receipt to show you.
that's from.
Let's
that's
see.
the receipt.
Who's this receipt from? Is it our friend? Yeah, Rock Hopperos. Our friend. Is this the receipt? Bottom text.
Banger.
Is that the receipt you were looking for?
Top text. Bottom text. That truly encapsulates the photo, doesn't it,
It
Matt?
really does. I feel like this was extremely low effort. But look, at least you made the effort, Rock Hopper, and we appreciate you for that. I think we have a few more to have a look at as well, of course. This is from the fans, if you're wondering what's going on. Tossic? Me when Benvy picks Thresh? Oh no, Brendy. Mate, you can't do your mans like that. That's so...
He's done his mans like that.
He's just done that to him.
Mans like that. Just lock me in Thresh here, guys. XD. Not sure Benvy wanted to play Thresh in that
Manifesting
draft
a bit of
anyway.
mutiny in the team.
Yeah, there were a few little hooks missing here and there. But either way, look, they got another opportunity. Let's have a quick look here at what Salan has for us. Host fans watching Draven get blind picked again. Yeah, it's pretty accurate. It's pretty accurate.
In another world, this photo is me and Mac in the green room, and we witness one of the Oceanic teams blinding Draven, and we should just have our edition. We should go take a photo in the
should
green
recreate
room.
it in the green room, yeah?
Yeah, we should.
We're just sitting there and we're just
Take
like,
a photo of...
oh, game's over.
I have a feeling that Voice might pick Draven, and we'll save it until then.
Okay.
We'll
Yep,
save it
gotta make it
until
meta.
then.
How do we get to the save menu?
There's a save menu?
Yeah, do you not know where it is?
Press
No, I
start.
told my mom I can't pause the video game for like the last 20
Right.
years. There's no
That's-
save menu.
Well, you're going to have to pause, Kitty, because we've got a second game to get to, and it's coming up just after the break. Direwolves and Mammoth going into game 2. We'll see you in a second, or 2, or 60, maybe 80.
Of the Direwolf squad.
Certainly can't get too chuffed with your performance just yet. There is still more to be done. 20 minutes in, down comes the laser one more time, and Chaz is now on a double kill. He's got the Rylai's. So how do you escape this Aurelion Soul just farming you up? Sitting on a triple. We talk about it being the Zeri show, but right now it's the Quadra show.
They want to give him the
this
fifth.
man the pentakill on the debut. Make it happen. Come on, Chaz.
There is no pentas in the
What's that? Is that Direwolf's future? It's so bright, I can't see. Oh. Welcome back to the LCO, where we make jokes, and they're sometimes funny and sometimes not. And Rusty's just looking for the funny part of that joke, I think.
I was adjusting my glasses. There was no bit there, don't worry. But we could turn it. I was certainly looking for it, yeah. I was looking for Mammoth's future after game 1.
Yep, that's, yeah. Oof.
Oof.
Oof. Skimmy, can I get a Skimmy oof? Ooh. Yeah, oof. That's pretty much what we got going into game 2. Now, speaking about game 2, what would you like to see change from the draft? Let's talk about Mammoth. I feel like their draft kind of complements how they were playing, but as we mentioned, it was sort of so Voice could succeed, and Voice did succeed, but it feels like that's not enough, right? They need some kind of heavy AP damage. Chi-Chi was getting beat in top lane, and it feels like maybe you could replace that towards the jungle?
I don't know. I think it's hard to try and carry in the jungle at the moment. I feel like if you are Viego, yeah, you either have like a 2K performance or you absolutely 1v9, right? I think it's very hard. I feel like initiation is a little bit too easy right now with the Sejuani, Wukong, and so on. I will say though, I feel like we've seen this Mammoth before, where it was the Voice show in like previous splits. And if he's not firing, then you're just losing. And they've invested everything into him in this game, right? Double Everfrost, just full utility. But there were some really weird moments, right? For example, in Trust, just walking into the topside river bush, there's a TPN. you're dead. Hey, I'm next on the platter. The rest of the team kind of like stranded in mid saying, we can't help you. Like, we're completely flanked off here by a Jax, which can just one-tap voice. I think they just need, more attack options rather than just, fully relying on like a Zeri or perhaps the classic voice Draven to 1v9.
Rusty, you used to be a coach.
I did.
Which means you've done at least one draft before.
At least, probably 2.
Probably 2?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe even 3 if we're stretching it.
Yeah.
In that
Those best of fives I
history, did you learn enough to give any advice to Mammoth for free here? And what would that advice be from, your track record of what? Were you 2 from 2 or were you like 0 from 2?
Oh, you mean in draft or?
Yeah, in draft, yeah. Did you always win draft or did you lose draft?
I don't lose draft, mate.
Okay.
I don't win games, but I lose draft. I think the Lissandra pick felt really out of place because 1, it was a blind Lissandra without knowing the matchup, and 2, it didn't feel necessary in the composition if you're going to play Wukong and Rakan.
Yeah.
So it could be an Orianna instead if you're looking for something that is scaling DPS. I think that makes the composition better. And just gives them more of an out and gives Zeri something that stands in front of it. Either that, Cassiopeia, Azir, the 3 options, maybe even Victor, the things that come to my mind. Something that works with team fights, is a control mage, is scaling. And also that means Gragas can go tank.
Yes. We've been seeing a lot of Roa Gragas.
Just a serious answer, yes, a serious.
No, just Kitty's response, it sounded a little bit sarcastic. And it was like,
what do you mean? I'm agreeing. I mean, I personally think I've seen more success with full tank Gragases than Roa Gragases, and the first one is definitely Dark Harvest, where it always goes into the jungle, but we aren't seeing a lot of jungle Gragas, so I'm going to focus on only the laning ones. Where
I think Gragas would be a great rower. He looks like he's got big lats and could just like constantly pull like this. But which
Run
way?
of the ages, Mac.
Which way is he rowing, Kitty? Is he rowing onto the red side or is he rowing onto the blue side? What's Mammoth choosing here? Let's have a quick look.
Blue side? Little Nari shook.
Ooh,
Then it's a red side.
There you go. Rusty, you're right. Look.
He's rowing.
Red side.
Yeah, he is rowing.
If we don't say anything, does Matt continue to row?
Matt just keeps going.
Yeah, we'll go, neutral grip.
Oh.
Neutral. You're gym rowing. You're not actually rowing.
No, I'm not swimming anywhere. I'm just...
You don't swim when you row.
Just getting a quick pump.
You row.
You don't want to get a quick pump? You're on the broadcast?
Oh, I'm good, man. I went to the gym earlier today.
Oh, where am I rowing?
Game 2.
Someone point where I'm rowing. Hey, they're learning. We're rowing straight into the Dare fan vote. Ladies and gentlemen, Twitch points, put them on. Let us know what you think's going to go down in Game 2. Is it going to be a 2-0 affair? Are we going to Game 3? Or are we going to have an extended break? That's the question. Should I change the exercise? I feel like I've done more than like 50 reps and then it's like,
What else are you going to do, Mac? You sit on a couch.
Did the pump work?
What?
Inflatable man.
Inflatable man. No, look, okay, red side for Mammoth. Do you think that the counter pick's going to be enough to get a W for them here in Game 2?
We've seen a very heavy preference towards just red side and side select in general, but when it does come to Mammoth, I think their solo lanes need to stand out so much more. In that last game, we saw the Gragas in a winning matchup, Lissandra blind, which is something that they opted into. I mean, they're cooking something, but it's just not working, Mac.
Oh no, the new exercise. Seated clockwise.
What kind of exercise is this?
Seated clockwise stirs.
We're cooking. We're cooking. But what are we cooking? What's going in, Skimmy? What are the ingredients to this recipe?
A splash of Mordekaiser, a dash of GP, a handful of Akali,
Sprinkle
and
of
a
AA trucks.
sprinkling of fresh.
Kitty.
Mordekaiser
put the sprinkle
Akali
in, quick.
fresh.
Put the sprinkle in.
I've got food
and with
poisoning.
that, it looks like we're done. It's cooked, and Champ Select is ready to go.
I hope it's not a Mordekaiser Akali.
Well, I think it's cooked in the wrong kind of way, though, because it would be a little bit egregious. Either way, though, Direwolves on that blue side will say, hey, you haven't been Ash, so we will just lock that one in. We'll deny away your Zeri, and we'll continue to lock in those 2 jungle bands to make sure that District 1 doesn't have stability here.
Aphelios is still going to be there. A couple of AD champions still going to be up and available anyway. But the Ashe preference goes the way of the Direwolves. Again, on patch 13.4, we haven't seen a large sample size from many regions just yet, but we haven't seen much Ashe being played. Lucian is going to be the response. Now, Lucian also a champion that's dropped off a little bit locally. with the Lucian Nami can still be quite powerful, can still get things done.
Certainly can be.
And still has its merits, especially when you see the Ashe. If your goal is to be aggressive or sustain through it, the Nami gives sustain. Lucian can be aggressive.
So a nice strong bot lane for them to play around. Let's see if this gives them the killer punch to continue the good work of last game.
Oh, good, the Freljord comp.
Yeah.
I'll look for a Tryndamere next.
Okay. And an
What
Olaf
else
afterwards.
Yeah, Olaf. Olaf can top. Tryndamere can mid. What else is Freljordian?
I'm just trying to think.
Braum. Ashe Braum. That's your bot lane.
Okay, Ashe Braum, Tryndamere. Yep, I'm liking it.
Yeah, that's the comp.
Cool, done.
Done.
Lock it in, Chief.
Ah, that's cringe.
Okay, fair enough. So Predator gets to play Xayah again. That's always a bit of fun. And Big Danny Decoy there, cracking up, gets to play the Ashe. Happy times for him. There is the J4, right? So I was wondering if you would see it. I feel like it just fits the bill, really, for the early aggression that would be maybe the answer. And I feel like that really was a strong point of Mammoth's game last, right? The fact that, you know, come 50 minutes, it was still, gold-wise at least, dead even.
And I don't mind the Jarvan pick, seeing the Ashe and the Xayah there. Both champions do get locked in the cage. They don't have the easiest means to get out safely. Could be a Gale Force Xayah that might be able to buffer it. He has to be picture perfect in terms of timing. Dial's composition overall are definitely poised to still be brawlers, and they're not going to be upset if Mammoth come towards them. The things that I would like from Mammoth with this composition is a throwback to LPL compositions from ancient history, which is Camille Galio, comp done.
Okay.
Lock in the Camille Galio, your composition is done. It doesn't matter what they play, ban carries away. Maybe Zoranus goes for a Gragas or a Scion, you're set up to succeed. That's all you would want, and the purpose is you lock down single target carries so immensely easily, but your team fighting is very powerful. Your ability to find picks and turn that pick into a guaranteed kill, even in a losing game state, is really strong.
Camille Galio as well as a Jarvan, I feel like we're in Wonderland if that were to really happen. It feels almost like the way that Mammoth introduced themselves back into the league. What was it, the very first game? They had a full Wombo combo comp, I remember that. Be a bit of a cool throwback if it were to be the case, but...
I still just want more Malphites. I think Malphite, very playable.
Oh, okay, so we do get the sign this time, right? It makes a little bit more sense this time, given the bans you would say were tailored towards it last. Went for the Gragas, the safer option game 1, but the sign here in game 2.
I mean, we've said this for Pensinet. I feel like Zoranus has enough of a champion pool himself that the blind Scion, if he wanted to, could pick anything into it. Nara is the first logical choice, because again, has flexibility, can win lane, can be a split push threat, but also has just a really good team fight that goes with the rest of his comp right now, which is a Sejan and Ashe. I think for me, the question is what they pick mid lane for Chaz. It is blind, it is into a Jarvan though. So you have this really weird crossroads on, I kind of want mobility.
Akali. Lock it in, final answer.
Option 2 is just be really tanky, I guess.
Okay, so let's go for the Rise instead, right? So,
Akali was a fair shout though.
yeah, I think it just makes sense with a Sejuani, especially because you've got a squishy target like the Lucian or Nami that you can remove away.
Yeah, a ranged champion as well for that. Sejuani, Rise and Nah not going to be that. So perhaps a little bit lacking in that combo for the Sejuani. Poltron's still going to be a tank either way. Can still use his utility fine. This means the passive stun a little bit harder to apply.
Ooh, and are we revisiting Lissandra again? We are, yes. So, doubling down is Dajong. Having had his champion pool targeted for the second draft in a row, feels like this is the option. And another comp you'd say that has the ability to find those resets. The setup is certainly there.
Yeah, Lissandra, Jarvan, pretty powerful.
Let's see how they navigate it though, right? Let's see if they are on the same page this time around to make sure that we are all hitting the same target. We are all peeling and protecting.
Yeah, I do think that overall, you look at Mammoth's composition, they are going to be about going forwards with the Lucian Nami. They're going to have good mid-game control through mid lane. They have really good pick generation through a Jarvan and a Lissandra, and Scion does scale into the game to be pretty immovable as tanks go. The enemy side here in the direwolves most likely going to have to be, you'd expect a Kraken Slayer to deal with that Scion if they want to.
Yeah.
If not, then the Gale Force to kill the carries on Mammoth's squad. So if you feel like snowballing a little bit faster, that could be worth considering. So not a lot of health going to be built by the rest of the Mammoth squad. Very volatile bot lane for both of these teams, especially having the Xayah Ashe into a Lucian Nami. I think a lot can happen down in that bottom lane. Both Sejuani and Jarvan could be ganking that lane off cooldown again. something that we've been seeing a lot of, it feels like, in the LCO, is just attention towards the bottom lane. Just attempts to gank constantly down there.
This week alone really has had a massive focus on the bot lane, constantly looking at, well, not even kills half the time, is it? It's a lot of just posturing around, saying like, hey, I'm here, just letting you know. That wave isn't going to crash. That trade that you're looking at isn't ever going to materialize into anything more than just that. So let's see what happens. Going into a game number 2 here with a different idea in mind for both these teams, but the execution, you'd imagine, still is very much about we want to team fight better than you.
And then one thing I will say as well for Mammoth with the back-to-back Lissandra games is that Lissandra always does high damage. The question is who your opponents are going to be, and there's a lot less tankiness to deal with this time around. So Lissandra could actually have a pop-off, you know, like crazy carry game, and that is the thing that Mammoth are looking for. We haven't really seen Dajong and Voice go crazy at the same time. We've seen one or the other. We yet to see the full team do it. In Trust. In Trust.
He double backs.
Don't you turn around.
He regrets that one. Unfortunately, they don't have a Nautilus this time to flash hook. Otherwise, that Nami was very much dead.
First Strike is the rune choice here for Voice, which I do think is a staple for Lucians. But the thing with First Strike is you don't get to proc it if they get to damage you whenever it's available. And you're dealing with a Xayah and an Ashe that with 0 effort can damage you. So it may not be as simple as having that First Strike proc. It might not be there for the golden lane like a lot of Lucians would love to earn. Instead, it may just be about having that 10% damage amp on first hit with the first item done, right? Just that extra damage when it comes to starting off a fight.
Yeah, for sure, the on-demand burst when they need it with that spike as you highlight. Charging Smash is going to collide, and Zoranus is going to get a warm welcome back to the top lane, starting things off here, running up the topside river.
Comet as well for Chi-Chi. It is all about that lane damage. It's back-to-back games running that Comet, one with the Gragas, one with the Scion. Zoranus, as you would expect, fleet footwork, most likely a Doran shield. Bot lane already having a bit of a brawl, as you would expect. Double range lanes when they intersect. Pretty high DPS. Dials with the wave control though, so very easy level 2 down here. No issues whatsoever for them.
No, certainly not. It's a fair amount of damage already going out, forcing out consumables to be used, all in the hopes of hitting level 2 first. And Trust is chugging, but his health bar is fairly low.
Yeah, sizable potion advantage here for Direwolves. Will be compensated for once Entrust hits level 2. Simply because he does have a heal in the kit. Oh, it's level 1, he's gone for the W, so because he has a heal in the kit. That didn't spot District 1, did it? I know it did. There was a ping at least at the Grom, so...
He would have caught the tail end there for the blue, at least for sure, as Poltron will utilize that information now to say, I think I've got the timing to go for this invade. Can he get the steal? Yes, he can.
Phase rush proc.
District 1's already gone for the flash. That's been matched, and the stun denies the flag drag, disengage away. And that is a beautifully crafted first blood for Direwolves.
Yeah, Hawk shot straight into the aggressive Sejuani play. Sejuani's so powerful with the red buff and the level 3 spike. Ooh. Really almost unmatched in the ability to trade 1v1, especially when she gets the jump. And just takes down District 1. Very warm welcome to the LCO, unfortunately, for the jungler at Mammoth in game number 2.
And Sejuani has so much damage. We've seen that so often, right? Deceivingly strong for a tank jungler. It will certainly invite those 1v1s any day. That feels rough for a Jarvan who, you know, wants to be so gank heavy, but needs that time, needs those buffs.
Chaz kind of done himself in with this wave state, actually. Runs himself completely out of mana by missing an EQ on the backline. Dajong recognizes it and is able to push forwards now, and depending on what he has, if he has a ward to place, could actually get to the enemy Raptors or deeper than that once this next wave's pushed in, or just get himself an opportunistic base knowing that Chaz has to teleport in here.
Yeah, it's all about trying to deny that one as well, but Lissandra's range is fairly low, so would have had to take a turret shot to actually guarantee it. Posturing alone was enough to force Chaz to reset and run a little bit further back to safety.
But so far so good for Dajong. Top lane farming pretty happily, it feels like, as well. Jungle, the one place that's gone a little bit askew for Mammoth early. When all is said and done, it does feel like we're going to have a fairly passive, very early couple of levels. Big breakpoints for me. Skimmy level 6 for Mammoth is obviously a very big deal. They all want their ultimates. Might have to hold any conversations at the moment. The Poltron on the stalk.
He finds another kill here, and District 1 dies again. It feels a little bit doomed.
Rise is here. And
Rise
hello.
is here. Surprise, surprise. You don't get to exist in your jungle. There is another stun. You've already burnt that flash. The flag and drag was used for the camp. And it's Chaz to return and say thanks for the freebie.
Ultron's here and you know it. Make sure you respect.
Oh, that feels so bad now for Jarvan.
Postures hyper aggressively there, perhaps even stopping a recall. Yeah, District 1 is in trouble. GG also copping a beating up here in this 1v1 right now.
You can see that the solo laners feel so free to do as they like because they know that this Jarvan is that far behind, removed from the map. You can invite those trades. You don't really feel concerned at all about any gang contention ever being coming your way.
But conversely, they know the Sejuani's nearby, so they respect, right? So it's one of those two-way streets. One team suffers, the other team prospers in multiple different ways. They find District 1 straight off reset. They're just keeping tabs. They've just got their eye on him. It hasn't stopped. And Direwolves are very good at playing with a lead. Known to be passive early, but once they get that lead, they do not slow down.
Oh, look at this. Drone is very close to it. The hyper proc is there. Triple damage stacks. That's all she needs. And another cheeky solo kill found in the second game in a row. In goes Dajong. He's found his target. They found the CC and they have found the kill. Kratos is spewing. Double summoners burnt and not enough to evade it. And a 4-man collapse results in Mammoth's first kill here.
Yeah, no cleanse there for the AD carry of the Direwolves. Does mean that Lissandra, just by finding the ultimate, will lock him down. That will be guaranteed. And the damage follow-through will happen as well. And now Poltron and Decoy left to try and defend under this turret. Mammoth don't choose to stay for longer than they deem necessary. They don't choose to dive the two who caught that wave. They will let it be caught and they will let the reset occur. But finally, in this second game, it took a few minutes. The game's been steadily pulling away from them, but they'll get a pick.
A pick they so sorely needed, absolutely. One that results in District 1 actually being the receiver of that kill. Certainly a helping hand to make sure that he can get himself back into the fold of things, get level 6 as quickly as he can, and then look to try and exploit some of the weaknesses you mentioned from the draft phase, right? The ease of ability for a Xayah as well as an Ashe. Let's run it back once again, just stun into CC layering, into you cannot move.
Yeah, this ult, flag, drag, easy combo follow-up, nicely done. Short and sweet from the side of Mammoth, something that you'll continue to potentially see down in that bottom lane as well, now that there is no summoners for the Xayah. No boots. And no ultimate just yet.
Well, that is the luxury, right? Once level 6 comes online, the Featherstorm is going to have a lot of value to try and nullify and prevent that from ever happening. But it certainly is promising signs to see Mammoth get a little bit more active on the map. That's been one of my critiques, I think, of Dajong. Love him as an individual, but we've just yet to see him find the ability to roam.
Yeah, it feels
as much
like
as the other mid laners.
The interesting thing about Dajong is he's had some successful roams, and there's been games where his team's losing and he's sitting there 2-1 getting kills in side lanes. But it's about timing. It feels like more than anything else, where he just never finds the right window. And then his opponents are grouped up and he's just farming away, right? So it could be coordination, it could be communication with the rest of the squad, but whatever it may be, it does seem to be like a real sore spot for them. And that first gank was jungle and mid laner moving together. Positive trend.
Certainly is a positive trend, as we might see another bit of action here in the bot lane, a 4v2. In goes the Realm Warp, and that is Dajong fresh of a reset back to base. The TP's going to be a little bit too late. Direwolves have already done. They've come in for a job. The job's been complete. Double kill into turret plates. To a bit of a bot lane bashing.
Easy pickings on the dig side here, though, for Direwolves when the job gets done. No one even dies. Top lane Chi-Chi taking a beating still from Zoranus. Just going to use that ultimate to clear the wave and push it in. But just like that, Direwolves keep their foot on the gas. They do not slow down the pace of this game. They'll get priority in mid lane. That'll become dives in bot lane. Standard Rise gameplay. To no one's surprise, Chaz knows what he's doing when it comes to those roams. 2021 Pentanet. That was what he was perfecting in his craft. Playing things like Zoe going for level 3 dives bot lane. I'm sure that has stuck with him this whole time.
Without a shadow of a doubt here, as we're not even 10 minutes into this game. There's already Direwolves up by about 2,000 gold. A lot of that is going to come down to the amount of plates found, the kills obviously, but just the significance of the S advantage is primarily in top and bot. Zoranus really feeling himself maybe angered after yesterday.
I mean, this has been 3 solo kills, 2 games. We'll see how many more he can get.
Yeah.
But so far, you're absolutely right. Proving that he's still got what it takes to go toe-to-toe with the best. Was a little bit out of sorts yesterday for sure, but also had free lanes where there was really nothing to do but farm. And, you know, if a jungler pressures him, what do? You just lose 5 CS. It's the kind of situation he was stuck in with this time around. Makes his own situation. Scuttlecrab almost breaks the ankles of Entrust there, but not quite. Never trust Scuttlecrab with Dukes when you throw skill shots.
Sometimes can be better than players. But there's the second Scuttler being looked at. Meanwhile, Poltron was able to guarantee the Herald goes their way. Objectively, they've got everything that they need. The question does become, where does this Herald get used? Because bot lane is already fairly low. Or would they look to try and plant it mid instead? There is the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. There is the Carling. Decoy forced to burn the Summoner Barrier. And Pranic with a beautifully timed Featherstorm forces that flash because that rip back was going to be phenomenal. Decoy has absolutely humiliated District 1 there, saying that Cataclysm, try again. Dead underneath the turret, and these mid laners are battling to try and roam. But it's always Chaz saying, stand back.
Chaz keeping him humble. Chaz stopping Darjung from getting into the play. Ult's used in bot lane by Entrust here as well, but Voice can't help. And now Poltron just gets to waddle in.
Yeah, he doesn't have an ultimate, but it is going to force out a TP. Poltron surely can disengage away across the wall. He's got the flash. He held on for such a long time. He ran the numbers, I'll tell you that much. And Darjung is guaranteeing that this play will happen one way or another.
And it did. It happened. The play happened. Wasn't the right play, unfortunately. Darjung dies. Didn't self-cast the ultimate, tried to use it as late as possible, perhaps on a Praetor, but the flash was still there from the ADC Direwolves. Darjung simply dies. Ash Arrow goes wide in bot lane as well, but they are pressuring. I don't know. For what? They got the plate. They got the plate. Okay.
Feels like a pressure to perform here, knowing that this is the elimination game. Let's run it back with a replay, because it all starts off with that Ash ult.
And Decoy just gets absolutely smacked here. Sees a Lucian with the Tycoler's Blessing on and goes forwards. The Cleanse gets popped. Barrier gets popped. But Praetor, just on a reaction, is able to dodge out on that Flag Drag. And then the flash from Decoy dodging the damage of the Cataclysm as well was really nicely done. The final remaining summoner spells from Mammoth used there to get away from Poltron as he gets into the play late, but perfectly timed to make sure that he can get involved.
Certainly is a lot of involvement there. Now only a single flash up and available, and it is for the Xayah, who has actually gone for the Gale Force, right? Not the Kraken Slayer, so once those mobility options available, fair few of them at their disposal. Ooh! Darjung going to juke out there, quite nice. Certainly been in the spot above with 3 members strong.
Yeah, it would have been a little bit hard to hit that Ash Arrow just given the angle that it was presented at, but Decoy has a crack at it. It's always the case with Ash, fairly low cooldown on that ult usage, so you can't be too afraid to just chuck one out, see if it sticks. Darjung going to get knocked by the Herald and potentially die for it.
Yeah, I think he has. Oh, the latest self-cast! Is that enough time? Oh, it's not! Agonizingly close, District 1 with a disengaged Cataclysm. And I guess the silver lining is the tier 1 still remains, but just.
And for how long is the question. Vision going to be cleared out inside the river. Drake going to be taken by the team of Direwolves here also. Find themselves 6,000 to 7,000 gold in the lead, only 13 minutes into this one. And Mammoth, one lost away from being eliminated from split 1 of the LCO. They are knocking on death's door here for this first split. The Direwolves are just steadily running away with this second game.
Across the board, it has to be said, doesn't it? The fact that Zoranis got that initial solo kill, that Chaz is now super accelerated, having found the invade onto District 1 in the jungle, and even in the bot lane. This volatile matchup has certainly kept the brakes on a Lucian Nami from getting too far ahead of themselves, and you are certainly looking at a 14-minute situation where you're getting close to a 10k lead already.
Yeah, it is out of hand. Mammoth really looking to try and get some picks if possible, try and utilize the Lissandra and the Jarvan while they're still very much relevant. It'd be good to get a mythic for Darjung first. It would be good to have an item spike for him. But we'll see what pressure kind of forces them into. as their opponents are happily scaling. You know, Mythic's now being completed. Rod of Ages starting to cycle through the minutes. And Ash nearing that first item as well with the Umbral. Maybe the next Herald, if they can get Dajong to base before it. So eyes on an Ash area here.
I was just considering, what is the play now? As a Mammoth player, what are you thinking? When is your time to strike? If it is as simple as saying we wait for our Mythics to try and match them and catch them before they pressed over into a second item territory.
I mean, the obvious breakpoints is a Lucian Nami mid, right? Like, they get their first items done. They would like to have one on both the Lissandra and the Nami. But once they have Entrust and Voice in mid lane, they can really threaten Praetor. That's something that they'll have going for them, but then they will need to keep constant track of Poltron, who's sitting in a bush. They know he's sitting in that bush. They need to respect it as well. So they can't make plays, they're just left responding instead.
They certainly are, but here's the play being toyed at right now. Poltron in trouble, flashes out of double ultimates, make it triple. As everything is committed there from the mid-jungle bot. Voice in trouble, rooted late, clean. Praetor, oh, he's gone for the flash underneath the turret. How disrespectful, he'll trade his life for it. But he wanted to lay down a message, no one runs away from me. And now surely Divals can disengage away from this play. A little bit too low to square up this Herald.
Yeah, they're certainly going to be able to disengage. Zoran is going to take away the entire jungle, just pillages the lands of Mammoth. Mid lane out of falls here also, promptly after the skirmish ends. And Dachung knows it's not his place to be, as he almost gets walloped straight into the death chamber.
The slow burn until the rest of the team backs them up. But it all starts with Poltron teasing, saying, I'm here, you know I'm here.
Yeah, and he uses the Q, goes forwards. He's a tank. He got the ult off. He's able to buffer that one, so increased health and healing. He's able to survive, but does have to use the flash and get out and pray, like you highlighted. I mean, it's a really nice stun here, forces the cleanse and flash. And the second he ults, you're like, I know where this is going. He's getting that kill at all costs. The shutdown also goes to District 1, not to Voice. So that Lucian stays behind. And Divals stay ahead.
Which I suppose really is the tragedy of the entire situation. The only 2 kills they have found have been onto the Jarvan, right? It's not gone anywhere else. There have been some pretty important shutdowns at just that. Would certainly love that to be an illusion, as you mentioned. So, jump into a pause. We have to wait and wonder what this is all about. But for the meantime, staring down the barrel of a 10k deficit in a situation where you're really thinking, okay, is it even going to be enough once we had the things like Imperial Mandate online for us to be strong enough to then start to contest? Because you'd hope so. You really would hope so. But it feels like that ship is quickly departing.
It does feel that way, especially because they don't have the highest scaling in their composition, right? We spoke about a Scion scaling, but that's only to be a tank. And if there's no damage behind the Scion, then what does it matter? What does it mean? And even he is 60 CS down at 17 minutes. So he's not strong. Not strong at all. That's why they have to fight on these spike timings. If there's any opportunity for Mammoth to get back into this game, it has to be while they are strong. So you're looking at, now. Now to the next item is probably the window when they want to pull back their goal difference, or it'll just be too far out of reach.
And Imperial Mandate's still not available, but the Ludens has been picked up this time around by Dajong instead of the Everfrost from Game 1. So all about one-shot potential. It's that real major source of solo AP.
20-odd seconds on the teleport from Zoranus. If he wants to come and assist the team in terms of objectives, there's a Drake in 40 seconds. Herald up now.
Chaz just running at them, doesn't care. That's forced Entrust to run the wrong way, completely split from his AD carry, and Voice is the first one to die. As Poltron finds a kill onto his respective jungler, removes District 1 for what feels like the umpteenth time this game. Has had a read on him from the very get-go here, having solo killed him for that first blood. Chi-Chi's grouped up with the team, unable to match the power of this Gnar. So strong, still content in the side lane. That'll find Direwolves their 4th turret of this match.
Dajong resolves to not want to walk towards the Zoranus side of the map at all, instead flashes towards his team under the turret. Towers drop, gold lead stretches, it's 12,000 now, 18 minutes in, and suffice to say that these item spikes aren't saving them, they're just getting picked. they're against a team that's of a different caliber right now and a team that excels at this time in the game. Going to require nothing short of a miracle from Direwolves. Making mistakes for Mammoth to really stick through this one.
Yeah, this definitely does feel relegated to that kind of conundrum now, where you're hoping that Direwolves bite off more than they can chew. And perhaps 1-3-1 formation. And seeing if you can then look to try and pick somebody apart and get that gold where it needs to be right now, because it is an 0-5 bot lane. Lucian Nami wasn't really able to get a foothold in the laning phase and has struggled also coming into this mid-game as well. And it's, I don't want to say any fault of their own, it really has just been across the ball, just outmatched. Too much strength. Intra's going to fall on down. Poltron still pressing forward, switching at aggro, whereas that Culling will then connect onto Chaz instead. Daljun goes golden for a moment, I should say. I say for the meantime. He ults himself.
2 dead, right? Mammoth just suffering, and Trust tries to place a ward. Cops an Ash arrow to the face. Bread and butter League of Legends. Direwolves will pick their target. They'll find their mark. They'll place a Herald in top lane. I would not be shocked to even see them push past the inner that they summon it for. At the very least, they're going to confirm the turret. Mammoth, if they want to contest this, there's only 3 people from Direwolves here. No time like the present, but they can't cover the distance. Ash just sitting there volleying them and slowing them down. Yeah,
plus they've all got flashes available very hard. And if not that, then they got the Feather Storm, so you jump in and you just fall victim to all this. There's the reinforcements, there's the repositioning of the Gale Force, but they have finally found that kill. Voice had to sacrifice his life for it. Zoranus jumps into action to stun Daljun up against the wall. And now Chi-Chi, you're a Scion, but you're not tanky. And will be handled quite nicely by Free as Chaz finds himself a triple.
Inhibitor going to drop in mid lane most likely. Top lane's already exposed and half HP as well. And Mammoth, they try and pick a battle, but they recognize just as well as we do that it's a little bit too late to make those plays. The clock struck midnight for Mammoth. And after this next recall for the Direwolves, they're going to be a little bit too far gone. 16,000 is the gold lead. Kratos is a kind god. He gives them a chance, refuses to press E, refuses to kill District 1. Instead, looks to hold that. Perhaps he can make a Gale Force play, but the Gale Force was a little bit askew. But Zoranus comes in. Chaz been dealing damage this entire time as well. The Rise is kind of fed.
Kind of. You'd be feeling like we've discontinued the game from Aurelion Sol action. KDA will be phenomenal between both games 1 and 2 at the moment. He's only got a shoe in there for the MVP of this series. And with 2 inhibitors already taken, all we're really looking at now is the Baron to seal the deal.
Mammoth can't really contest this. They don't have the means to face check bushes either. In reality, they don't have a Gragas that can throw a Q. They've got a Jarvan flag, but he was farming mid. They know Baron's being done. They know it's at 5,000 HP.
Oh, Ashot goes wide.
The Zoranus in their face. A teleport coming in.
This is the last ditch effort. The culling goes out. Voice might die for it. It's not going to be stolen away. District 1 never got a chance. Baron picked up here by Direwolves, up by 16k gold. And how much more will it be after this team fight? They found Free. They are hitting him where it hurts. We just have more gold than you. You just cannot match us. And that is a perfect ace to close it out here.
And they don't just slap them with the wallet, they uppercut them with the bank. Direwolves, pretty easy way to try and finish this one off for them. 20,000 gold difference. 22 minutes in, Skimmy. Direwolves a bit too clean.
Bit too clean, bit too quick. Going from 29 minutes to 22 in a game 2 to close out. An advance for a rematch up against PGG.
And a very much earned rematch. But Direwolves, it did feel like another day in the office for them. And in regards to performance, they were just kind of playing out their brand of League of Legends. That's the thing that we need to keep our mindset on, right? What is the Direwolves brand of League of Legends? Because Pentanet kind of ran them out of that style last time they played each other. But now that the rematch is confirmed, we'll see if Direwolves can bring it back, force the game to be played their way and let them feel comfortable again.
And it does become a very interesting discussion looking forward to that rematch as to, are Pentanet simply just their kryptonite? Is that the team they will always struggle against based on styles or just based on the matchup itself as a whole? But as it stands, I mean, Dire will still feel good after the bounce back from yesterday.
Yeah, look, and we almost all got our predictions right. Max still went for that 2-1 for Mammoth, though.
Too much faith.
Look,
Yeah.
just,
Too much faith,
That's
Max.
unfortunate, Max, mate.
he might be down there with me. I guess we'll have to check tomorrow, or maybe in the next game as well. We can have a look at the prediction, the updates of the scores for us. But look, that game in particular, an interesting one, but from the 2-minute 30, maybe like 3-minute 30 mark where that first invade came through, and Poltron managed to steal that blue buff, get the kill straight away. District 1 was just in the wars, and then he got dived again during that same clear or the next clear, like over towards the Raptors. That just felt so bad. And look, it was very much a welcome to the LCO, welcome back to competitive League of Legends, and ooh, it was rough. It was very rough for him. So a bit of an initiation, but we might see him more next split because that's Mammoth gone now. We have to say goodbye to them.
Yeah, goodbye to Mammoth, and congratulations to Mammoth for... Not Mammoth, what the hell? Congratulations to Dials for winning this best of 3 series where District 1 just really wasn't able to play this game as he was just consistently getting forced out by the Sejuani. That's something we haven't been seeing too much from the junglers of OCE anymore. At least it just died down where Sejuani stopped playing aggressive, where back in the day, or even Buys, I think Shernfire did it the most, where he would just level 3 invade and kill you at your own buff, and District 1 definitely didn't expect that, but this entire team composition was once again built around Voice on this Lucian. However, we do know that Lucian has fallen in priority because he's just so short range compared to the meta ADCs nowadays, especially with Xayah coming back with the BT build. I mean, you can't ever go forward. I mean, into something like the Ashe, the Xayah, it's so difficult because you have to play perfectly. You only have cleanse once, and if Dials plays it smart, well, this Lucian isn't going to be able to play the game, ending the game around 1 and 4. I'm assuming more deaths because the game hasn't ended here just quite yet. But hard forcing Lissandra, something I don't really understand. It's not the most meta pick, and you know, if you want to go for something that is a hard engage, something like the Galio could even work.
Okay, well, we'll see if they maybe change that up moving forward, but anything you want to touch on in terms of these item builds? We haven't really spoken about those lately. It's just been, you know, see it. Is it what you expected coming through from all these champs?
Yeah, most definitely. I think the most interesting thing is that Dials decided to play the Ashe support once again. Not saying that Ashe support died, it's just the Umbral isn't as satisfying to one-hit the wards anymore. We do see Decoy getting Umbral Glaive once again for that first item on Ashe, denying a lot of that vision as well, especially with you having such a strong early game. I mean, Xayah is something that is getting more and more prioritized, I suppose, in the recent meta, and just Draven, Lucian, I mean, they're down there for a reason.
Yeah, they certainly are. Also, Decoy hitting some pretty nasty arrows as well, which stopped your boy Voice from being able to play the game. Just kept on getting caught out and was pretty much heavily the only source of damage for Mammoth again in this comp. So if he's dead, if he's just out of the fights, then how do Mammoth get kills? How do Mammoth win? That's like the question, right?
Yeah, I mean, this was also one of those games where like you can't really look at the comp and be like, that was the issue, because they just lost. Right? Like, like the comp didn't actually become an issue because they lost the game so early, right? And so hard that it didn't matter.
No, it didn't really matter. And look, someone that always says it doesn't really matter, but then he wakes up on time, makes it to the game, and plays his best damn game is Pradith. Mate, look, welcome to the winners interview. Do you feel good knowing that you get a little chance at a rematch going up into the upper bracket again tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, yesterday was like pretty embarrassing for me. I think I'm not gonna make any excuses, but I definitely played awfully yesterday. So hopefully tomorrow will be better, and we can win tomorrow.
I mean, like Zoran has said, you guys missed out on an entire week of games, and you guys are just catching up with this lower bracket run, and congratulations on the 2-0 up against Mammoth. But like Mac has been saying, you guys will be rematching PGG very soon, and Violet, I mean, he looks like he's back in his 2021 form, and his old rival, I mean, still your rival. So what are your expectations going into the match, which will be tomorrow?
I mean, I think we're better in lane. Like yesterday, like unfortunate things happened in lane, but we were definitely winning before that. So I'm confident that if we don't like make any mistakes, then like I'll be the better AD carry. But yesterday we, and especially me, like just made a lot of errors. Like I think I flashed on the spot on Jarvan, or like when Lee Sin ganked in game 1. It was really, really bad. But like tomorrow will be better, and if we're the better team, we'll win.
True words indeed. Now look, in that first game of the series today, Chaz got 2 pentas that he barely missed. I saw him get very, very vocal in the player cams. What was he saying?
Yep. He said, like, something, Danny, you're something, Danny, something. Probably can't be said on broadcast.
Understandable.
But he was not very happy at Danny.
Okay, and look, on that note, we'll maybe talk to Chaz tomorrow and see if he can reveal those unknown words or if it is just all censored. Either way, Mark, look, we'll let you go. Enjoy the win, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonka TOS, Jesus.
something, Danny. Something.
Yeah, the good news is maybe the old school Praetor interviews, he might have said it.
Yeah.
True.
So, man's
He's so disciplined. You could tell that he was going to swear and then he just paused for a second. He thought to himself, is it good to say? Is it allowed on broadcast? No, I just played really bad.
Sometimes I don't think if it's a good idea to do things on broadcast, but I do them anyway. And one thing is saying, wow, the Dare MVP is... I'm not going to leak it, but look, you guys chose it as Chaz, the man with the double quadras coming through in that first game, stolen pentas. But to try and put a bit of ice on the wounds, he's got the Dare, iced coffee, most valuable player for the series today. Yep.
Twitch chat only chose Chaz as the MVP because his kill participation is 69%, and that is nice. Anyways, we did see the debut of Asol into patch 13.4 and he became an absolute monster, so it's definitely something that the analyst desk will be looking out for as we approach the next games, which will be tomorrow. I mean, this Asol pick, I don't know the specific circumstances that you need to meet or the requirements for this. We didn't see a ban in the last game, so it must be like into specific champions that it does well.
Free comps, basically, right? Like if it's a composition where you're just going to be free through laning phase, free to scale, or free to team fight, whichever is easier, then like you just slam that Aurelion Soul and have a good time.
Slam that Asol?
You slam.
Hey, look, let's have a quick look at the bracket
Full
here
names only.
for
Full
Group
names
A.
only.
Direwolves going all the way from the top, all the way to the bottom, and then
Take
back
us
to the
to
top
break.
again, looking like they are going to get this rematch up against PGG. And of course, Mammoth, they got that win in the lower bracket round 1, but not much else than that here in the group stage. So we have to say goodbye to them empty-handed.
Yes, the big thing obviously to take away from that is that it's all for seeding, right? They're guaranteed into the playoffs. That's exciting. We've got ourselves those heavy hitters to look forward to try and represent us overseas. But yeah, all about, can you get that number 1, number 2 seeding? So obviously going to influence who you then go up against in Group B.
Yeah, cool. We got 3 teams now secured for the playoffs. Like, that's another point which completely went over my head. But look, seeding, of course, is going to matter because winner of this group is going to play the loser of the Group B upper bracket final as well, and vice versa. Loser of this one's going to play the winner of that Group B upper bracket final. And we're going to figure out who that 4th team is to jump on into the upper bracket final in the next game, which... we got a big break.
1 hour.
It's 6:43 currently here in the studio in bright Sydney, Australia, and we've got a nap time to attend to. But we'll see you in about, I'm going to say 50 minutes or so for menu log meal time. That's going to be fun. Don't go too far because this next game, Bliss and Kanga, is gonna be a banger.
The last-ditch effort, the culling goes out, Voice might die for it, it's not going to be stolen away. District 1 never got a chance. Baron picked up here by Direwolves, off by 16k gold. And how much more will it be after this team fight? They found free. They are hitting him where it hurts. We just have more gold than you. You just cannot match us. And that is a perfect ace to close.